No, you're not reading the title wrong. I 100%ed Stardew Valley 1.6 without using the wiki. Starting from day 1 of a brand new save all the way to day 400, I didn't visit StardewValleyWiki.com a single time, and boy, was it tempting. Equipped with nothing but 120 hours of experience playing the 1.1 version of Stardew, some helpful Twitch and YouTube comments, and a handful of mods, I reached the mountaintop and collected every single achievement. Well, all of them except the 𝐋𝐽𝐫𝐞 Member of the Year achievement. I will never sully my hands to get that one. And as God is my witness, Stardew Valley will forever remain an unperfected game on my Steam profile. As I previously mentioned, this playthrough did have a handful of mods installed, 90% of which are aesthetic in nature. The only two mods that arguably made this challenge 1% easier would be the No Friendship Decay and UI Info Suite 2 mods. I'm willing to die on the hill that Friendship Decay is a stupid mechanic, and as an absent-minded buffoon, the UI Info Suite is handy for reminding me when it's someone's birthday, what the daily luck value is, or if the traveling merchant is in town. If you want to check out those two mods or any mod I use throughout this playthrough, they will all be linked in the description. Speaking of things linked in the description, this video is a compilation of 3 videos I've made previously, all of which are linked in the description. So when I reference comments from a previous video throughout this video, hopefully that's not as confusing. And with all that being said, let's craft our character, quit our soul-sucking job in the city, and make our way to Stardew Valley. But not before a quick word from this video's sponsor. This video is sponsored by me. This 3.5 hour long video will not have a single mid-roll ad. And all I ask in advance is for you to help me out a little bit. If you could subscribe and enable notifications, that would be awesome. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later if you want. Also, smashing that like button would help too. I'm really shooting for the stars here, but if this video gets 6,000 likes, I'll perfect Stardew Valley Expanded. And finally, if you could help out the engagement metrics of this video by leaving a comment telling me what your favorite potato chip flavor is, that would be amazing. Alrighty, ad over, let's get into the gameplay. As I step off the bus and start my first day in Stardew Valley, I'm met by Robin. She walks me over to my new overgrown mess of a farm, and I also meet the town mayor, Lewis. I spend the first morning clearing out some weeds, tilling a nice patch of land, and then planting and watering the free parsnip seeds. I head into town and meet Harvey and Abigail, then pick up some potato seeds from Pierre's. Introductions are also made to bachelorettes Leah, Penny, and Emily. What remains of day 1 is spent planting and watering the new potato crops and clearing out all the grass and weeds from the farm. A nice comfy bed is my reward for a good day's work. I begin day 2 with crop watering, then heading down to the beach to talk to everyone's favorite fisherman, Willie, and getting the fishing rod. I introduce myself to more bachelors and bachelorettes, including Alex, Maru, Sebastian, and Shane. That evening, I got my first level of foraging down by the beach and redecorated the bedroom before hitting the sack. A nice rainy day 3 is just what the doctor ordered, and I'm chopping trees and fishing for catfish all day. I even get my fishing skill up to level 2. I've got crops to water and a flounder to catch on day 4. Pierre sells me some beans and cauliflower seeds, and that flounder I caught can go straight to Pam for some extra money. I headed back to the farm and spent that afternoon tilling the soil, planting, and watering my brand new green beans and cauliflowers, before breaking some stones on the farm and getting my first mining skill level up. I finished the day off by meeting bachelors Elliot and Sam. I woke up on day 5 with Marnie and a cat outside my door. Of course, I adopted the little bastard and named him Alfie. My first crop of parsnips are ripe, so I get those harvested and get my farming skill to level 1. Of course, I can't neglect my watering duties, so I get the cauliflower moist and head down to the traveling merchant, who doesn't seem to have anything I need or anything I could afford right now. So it's back to the farm to continue the cleanup process. That afternoon, I'm introduced to the community center, the building I'm going to restore to its former glory. The rest of the day was spent fishing and breaking rocks on the farm. It's day 6 and I'm watering crops like a good farmer boy. I meet up with the wizard and he has a concoction for me to sip on. I don't know what this beverage was laced with, but at least I have an all-powerful wizard trip sitter. Getting back down to earth, I visit the mines for the first time, and head over to Pierre's to purchase more cauliflower and potato seeds. I'm gonna need a lot of money soon, so I get those planted, then call it a day. The Queen of Sauce blesses me with the stir-fry recipe on day 7, and a rainy spring day equals lots of fishing. I finish my first bundle, the Spring Forageables bundle, and plant the rewarded spring seeds promptly. I pick up a rare seed from the traveling merchant and fish into the early hours of the next day and reach level 3 in my fishing skill. I'm not lucky enough to have 2 days of rain on day 8, so I'm back in the field watering crops and doing even more fishing as I search for the sturgeon for the river fish bundle. That evening, I get a little cutscene with the local homeless man Linus and let him know that there's no shame in letting food go to waste. He probably searches through the saloon trash can, as he should. The morning of day 9, I have some mail. It's some cookies from Mom. Thanks, Mom. What crops are happy crops? And I do love myself some rice, so I get that all done. The entire rest of day 9 is spent chopping trees, clearing weeds, and destroying rocks to make the farmland a little less ugly. On the morning of day 10, I harvest the first bunches of kale and get a farming skill level up, before making sure the cauliflower grows big and strong with water. All this farm work at low levels is terrible for my stamina, so I spend all day cutting down trees to get seeds for some farm snacks. It's day 11 and I spend the morning fishing at the river as I get up to level 4 in my fishing skill, before heading over to Pierre's to purchase even more parsnip seeds. I get those planted ASAP since I'm going to need 5 gold parsnips for a bundle. I finish the day by fishing down by the beach with Willie, looking for an eel that will never come. Potatoes are ready for harvest on day 12, and just look at those sweet, sweet experience gains. Feels so good. The traveling merchant is in town, and guess what? She has a sturgeon. Since I'm not using the wiki and I don't know when or where to catch a sturgeon, I make sure to purchase one and finish the lake fish bundle, which opens the boiler room bundles. I've been hoarding geodes and decided today was the day to get them cracked open and have all their contents placed in the library for everyone to see. I also took my first crack at the mines now that the boiler room bundles are open and made it all the way to floor 10. Day 13 is the day of the egg festival. After watering crops, I ran straight to buy as many strawberries as I could, which amounted to 32, not good, not bad. Then it was off to the races with the egg hunt. I collected 9 eggs, and considering that this was my first time ever doing the egg hunt, I don't think that's a bad total. And neither did Lewis, since I won and was rewarded with a straw hat. I got my new hat on and rain coming down on day 14 as I harvest the forageables and get a foraging skill level up. With this most recent harvest, I can finish off the spring crops bundle. I finished day 14 by spending the entire evening fishing in the lake and trying to get a walleye that will never come, but I did get level 5 fishing skill and took the fisher profession. Day 15 was spent entirely in the mines slapping rocks and bad guys until I lost track of my health and died to a flying worm thingy. Lucky for me, Linus was there to save the day, but I did lose some coal and geodes, but nothing too valuable, so that's good. I've got some strawberries to water the morning of day 16, then I hit the forest to collect some salmon berries for another bundle. I also finally made my introduction to the final bachelorette, Haley. The rest of the day is spent getting revenge on the bugs that knocked me out the day before. I even got a level up in the combat skill and made it to floor 30. While I slept, a fairy or pixie or some other flying thing blessed one of my strawberry plants. Day 17 is very boring. My first crop of strawberries is in, so I get all those picked and sold away. Then I spent the rest of the day getting deeper in the mines, all the way down to floor 40. After the customary plant watering, I get a cutscene on day 18 introducing Morris, aka the Joja Overlord, who offers 50% off items to everyone in the store. I mean, who can turn that down? I mean, I certainly couldn't. I say that as I purchased the expanded rucksack from Pierre for full price. The rest of the day is spent updating the museum with ores and further spelunking in the mines. On day 19, I opened a letter from my mom with 500 gold inside it instead of cookies. Thanks for the cash, Mom. Let's take that money to the traveling merchant. Unfortunately, there's nothing here that I need, so I spent the rest of the day cleaning up the farm some more, looking for field snack ingredients. Some green beans need to be harvested and watered the morning of day 20, which is shortly followed by my first tool upgrade, a copper pickaxe, which I have to wait a couple of days for, so it's back to fishing for this boy. I fish in the river, the ocean, and the lake, all in an attempt to get fish I probably can't get this season. But I don't want to miss out on them accidentally and not be able to finish the community center this first year. That sentiment continues on into day 21 as I'm back at Willie's shop fishing. Then it's back to the traveling merchant where I purchased some garlic seeds just in case there's any vampires in this valley. I finished the day with, you guessed it, more fishing. I forgot to press record for almost all of day 22, but I did at the end, so here are the highlights. I went mining with my brand new copper pickaxe that I picked up from Clint's and got some artifacts, ores, and made it all the way to level 5 farming skill and selected the tiller profession. I did remember to record day 23 and spent the morning watering turnips, fishing at the lake, and donating the artifacts I got yesterday in the mines. I spent the entire rest of this day at the lake next to the mine trying to catch a walleye, which if you hadn't figured out by now isn't possible, but I was paranoid at this point that I was gonna miss out on a fish and entirely lose a bundle before the end of the first year. Demetrius wakes me up on day 24 talking some nonsense about using my cave for science. I know, what a weird thing to ask someone. Anyways, I let him use it to attract fruit bats because I'm not a fun guy. You know, you get it? Fun guy, fungi, mushrooms, the other option is mushrooms. You get it. Anyways, it's the day of the flower festival today, so I harvest my cauliflowers and head on down to the forest. Of course, I purchased the rare crow, and I just sit in the corner while everyone else has fun, but you know, they don't know I'm gonna be a millionaire one day. Speaking of being a millionaire, strawberries are ripe on day 25. The rest of the day is spent killing bad dudes and going deeper in the mines as I make it all the way down to floor 60. I take another step on completing the community center on day 26 as I fill out the geologist bundle and the adventurers bundle to unlock the vault bundles, which I instantly complete the 2500 gold bundle and collect my reward of chocolate cake, which, side note, totally doesn't look like chocolate cake if you ask me. The rest of the day is spent in the mines, destroying wooden barrels, hoping for some sweet weapons and armor. Dumb boy strikes again, and I forgot to record most of day 27, so here's some footage of me organizing my chest of all the loot I got in the mines today. Speaking of mines, I got level 4 mining skill and level 4 combat skill, so that's really all you missed today. It's day 78 and the final day of spring, as I learned the omelet recipe from the Queen of Sows. A nice rainy walk down to the traveling merchant later nets me a tuna that I have to purchase because, again, I can't use the wiki. And the rest of the day is spent fishing to make sure I'm confident I caught everything I need for this first spring season. Day 29 and the first day of summer, I spent the morning removing the refuse of previous seasons and preparing the farm plot for new summer crops. Then it's down to Pierre's to go purchase a whole bunch of summer seeds. It took me the whole day to get ready for this season, so I ended the day by watering all the new seeds. I pick up right where I left off on day 30, by watering the blueberry seedlings before spending the day cutting down more trees to have enough wood to repair the bridge down at the beach to collect those forageables that I'll need for some bundles. On day 31, I receive a letter in the mail for everyone's favorite quest, retrieving Mayor Lewis's boxers. Of course, I head on down to Marnie's for reasons, I think we all know why, and notice that they're in her bedroom. But I can't get them since we're not friends, so I guess I'll just have to sweeten her up soon. The rest of the day is spent fishing down at the ocean, completing the summer forageables bundle, and more fishing down at the lake, trying to get some summer fish, which also resulted in a fishing skill level up. The first rainy day of summer on day 32 has arrived, so that means fishing. In the morning, I got an ancient seed in a sunken treasure chest, which is pretty sweet, and in the afternoon, I caught the elusive red snapper. I took that and a bream I caught earlier to the community center and completed the ocean fish bundle. I'm watering crops the morning of day 33 before heading down to the traveling merchant, who has nothing I want, so I bounce right out of there and head over to the library to donate some artifacts and the ancient seed I fished up yesterday. I collect my brand new painting, ancient seed, and ancient seed recipe, and spend the rest of the day up late in the mines, desperately looking for a ladder to finally get to level 100 and consume my first star drop of the playthrough, which tastes like YouTube subs. Speaking of which, love you YouTube subs. Anyways, I pass out just steps away from my house like a drunk college student. I have a nice harvest of hot peppers on day 34, then hit up Clint's to open some geodes since it's a good luck day. I take all my goodies over to the library and donate them to Gunther, then head down to the mines to beat up some bad guys and make it down another 10 floors, where I'm rewarded with some crystal shoes. I reach level 5 combat skill during the spelunking sessions and take the scout profession. Radishes are ready for plucking on day 35, so I get those harvested and head down to Willie's shop and purchase the iridium rod, which is immediately put to use trying to catch fish for the lake bundle and night fishing bundle. Day 36 is another day without rain, so I have to water the crops myself. I've been neglecting my farm cleaning duties recently, so I get out the axe and chop down some trees. I did so much tree chopping that I've reached level 5 in the foraging skill and select the gatherer profession after some initial hesitation. Day 37 is honestly just another day 36. I water and harvest some crops, chop down some trees on the farm, but today I spent some time fishing down by the bridge and at the mine lake searching for walleyes that won't be here until next season. Day 38 begins with some stump clearing as I'm cleaning up the mess that was earmarked for future me. I decide enough is enough and make a crab pot and place it on the beach. That evening is spent down by the mine lake fishing up sunken treasure and various fish species until I reach level 7 in the fishing skill. Day 39 is luau day, and I have some melons to harvest. The bats have been busy in the cave, so I collect all those fruits and head on down to the beach and toss a gold parsnip into the soup. The governor is in attendance today, and side note, I think it's unfair that he wasn't given a name, so I'm gonna call him Stan. Stan takes a sip of soup and calls it average. We don't like you, Stan. The luau comes and goes, and here I am harvesting tomatoes on day 40. Then it's over to Pierre's to purchase more melon seeds that I plant, fertilize, and water. Now that I have these tomatoes, I can finally finish the summer crops bundle. And I finished the rest of the day in the mines getting a level up, making it all the way to floor 120 and grabbing the skeleton key. That mining level up was my 5th, so I went ahead and got the geologist profession. Day 41 is the last day I use a normal axe, as I decided to finally get that copper upgrade. It's a rainy summer day, so I spent the entire afternoon and evening down at the lake mine doing some fishing. I even fished up a diamond that was the last thing I needed for the treasure hunters bundle. Now that those 3 bundles are finished, these little yo-yo looking guys, aka the Junimos, cleaned up the boiler room and put a nice little star above the fireplace. They also fixed the Minecrafts for me overnight. The Queen of South is back on TV on day 42 teaching me how to make pancakes. My blueberries and corn are ready for harvest, so I get those plucked off and then head down to the traveling merchant. Once again, there's nothing super valuable here for me to grab, so I just go straight to the lake and start fishing. The crab pot that I placed a while back on the beach has a cockle in it, so I take that straight to the community center to complete the crab pot bundle. While I'm here, I also provide the funds necessary to complete the 5,000 gold bundle. Then it's back to the beach to place 3 more crab pots I got as a reward. I finish the day off by doing some late night fishing. Doing my daily watering and crop harvesting grants me a farming level up on day 43. And Clint has finally finished my copper axe upgrade. While I'm at Clint's workshop, I crack open some stock geodes and donate my findings to the library. I spent some time in the mines and utilized my new copper axe to clear those pesky little stumps off my farm and finish the day in the community center completing the 10,000 gold bundle and the construction bundle. It's day 44, and fun fact, blueberries need water to grow, but trees need axes to fall. I bet you didn't know that. I went on a mining trip, and I got a little overconfident fighting this group of slimes and sorcerer dudes, and ended up passing out. I totally didn't read the item recovery service description and selected a diamond when I 100% should have just gone back and got my sword. What you see here is my desperate but futile attempt to finding the recovery service again and trying to get my stuff back. Much like my soul after losing my sword, day 45 is dark and stormy, so I decided to create some lightning rods to capture the power of electricity. I then finished the day back in the mines getting my mining skill up to level 6. Day 46 is another rainy day, so all I'll have to do is harvest this blueberries, they're blueberries, it's not money. And I spent the rest of the evening claiming revenge on the sorcerers and getting my combat skill up to level 6. I get some melons wet on the morning of day 47, then hightail it down to the traveling merchant who has nothing I want once again. However, I do want to complete the community center, so I fork up the cash for the 25,000 gold bundle, and our little Yo-Yo Junimo boys pop out and create a nice little office, and add another star above the fireplace. The rest of this day is spent down by the ocean, fishing up some money, fish. They're fish. And the Yo-Yo gang fixes up the bus overnight. Day 48 is tomato harvest day. After picking those fruits, they're fruits, not vegetables, fun fact, I check in on Maru, whose father totally doesn't scare me. Anyways, it's off to take my first trip to the desert, where I meet Sandy. Side note, I really like her portrait in this mod. It's my favorite out of everyone's. Now that we're in the desert, I did my first Skull Caverns run, which I was woefully unprepared for, so I ran away very, very fast. But it wasn't a total loss. Since we were in the desert, I could pick up the cactus fruits and the coconuts and complete the dye bundle and exotic foraging bundle before spending the rest of the evening fishing. I'm lost in the sauce the morning of day 49 as I learn how to make a maki roll, and I make sure to water my melons, then head down to the beach to have my first fight with a legendary fish, the crimson fish, which of course, ya boy wins. And then I spend the rest of the day trying to catch a lava eel, and I totally didn't spend 6 hours down here, only to get trash. Day 50 is another stormy day that begins with the harvesting of melons, a bunch of blueberries, and then some more melons. Then it's back to the ocean to do some fishing, where I finally get the last level up. And of course, I select the angler profession to maximize my fishing revenue. We got back-to-back rainy days on day 51, so it's time to collect the blueberries and the battery packs from yesterday before heading over to Robin's. I originally meant to look at the price and materials needed for a house upgrade and then buy a coop, but I moved my mouse up as soon as I clicked and accidentally bought the house upgrade. I was finally able to catch a lava eel though, so that's a nice plus, I guess. Another rainy day on the farm, and my melons are finally ready for harvest. I spent the entirety of day 52 in the Skull Caverns and got my mining skill up to level 6. It was a good day as I got that level up and made some solid money. I'm not lucky enough to get 4 days in a row, so it's back to using the watering can for day 53. With all that money I made yesterday, I felt it was time for another rucksack upgrade, so I went and purchased that from Pierre. Today was a good luck day, so I spent another full day in the Skull Caverns collecting diamonds and ores and killing those flying snake dudes. Day 54 is day 26 of summer, and I wake up to find that Robin has finished my new house overnight and pulled my bed and sleeping corpse into the new room. Today is blueberry day, so I get those harvested and get my farming skill up to level 8 before finally getting my coop placed down on the farm after spending too much time deciding where to put it. The quality crop bundle is now complete with 5 gold pieces of corn, and the rest of the afternoon is spent collecting rocks in the mines so that I can start decorating my farm a little bit. Now that I'm a level 8 farmer man, I can make kegs, everyone's favorite get-rich-quick crafting item. Speaking of kegs, it's now imperative to start getting a lot of oak resin really quickly, so I plot out my tree farm on day 55. This isn't the most eloquent solution, but it'll work for now. I spend the rest of the day exploring some rocks in Skull Caverns looking for holes to jump down. I made it all the way down to floor 28, my furthest dive so far, and then ran right back upstairs. As you can see, it was a pretty good mining day. Day 56 is the final day of summer, and I got one last tomato crop. Also, I get a very handsome 10,000 gold for going so deep in the Skull Caverns. I immediately take my axe to get another upgrade, and I spend most of the evening reeling in fish and sunken treasure down by the lake. I then head over to the beach and catch the midnight jellies get their dance on. The first day of fall, in the morning of day 57, is spent preparing for crop planting. Then it's off to Pierre to purchase a whole bunch of different seeds, then sowing and watering them on the farm. The rest of my day is spent fishing by the river, where I pull up some sunken treasure with a dinosaur egg in it, so that's pretty cool. I almost soft-locked myself into the chicken coop the morning of day 58. I spent way too much time than I care to admit trying to get out, but luckily I had a gate to get myself free. I head on down to the town square and it looks like the mayor and Robin have a new request board put up, but more importantly, my axe is ready from Clint's. I also decide to dump off my pickaxe for the steel upgrade as well. Back on the farm, I can finally clear off these ugly stumps and spend the evening fishing down by the lake. The secret woods isn't safe for me anymore, because on day 59 I can finally cut down the log in my way. I collect some hardwood and mushrooms, then make my way to Marnie's and purchase my first chicken, who I name 𝐷𝐷𝐿. Of course, chickens need food and warmth, so some hay and a heater are also purchased. And then I get my first chicken petting XP. Down at the community center, I complete the fall foraging bundle, and the day ends with some late night fishing. I begin day 60 down at the beach collecting some coral now that I can make deluxe fertilizer. Up at Robin's, it's time to build a barn, so I get that placed right near the coop. Down by the river, I finally catch a tiger trout, and you can see how excited I am as I complete the river fish bundle. Back at the farm, I frame out the ranging space for the barn, plant some more cranberry seeds, and path out some stone steps for aesthetic purposes. I spend the evening down at the river looking for walleye to finish the fish tank. Day 61 and my farm is finally beginning to take shape, as this fresh bok choy and all these quality sprinklers looking real nice. The traveling merchant is in town, so I head on down to buy a pale ale offer, because I don't know how to make that for the bundle. My new pickaxe is ready to be collected, so I go ahead and do that, and then spend the evening in the skull caverns putting it through its paces. Alright, it's day 62. It's the day everyone's been waiting for. It's fall, it's a rainy day. But first, we begin with harvesting some eggplants and collecting my first egg, now that bok choy is an adult. I head down to the ocean and see this man who's selling an amulet, but apparently a level 10 fisher can't get it, which I don't think is fair. Then it's over to Marnie's to purchase some more chickens, who I named Bongus and Kevin. And then, finally, it's time to fish. And I get that walleye I've been searching for. In fact, I get 2, which immediately get dumped into the quality fishing bundle and night fishing bundle, allowing our Junimo friends to reappear, clean up the fish tank, and add a 3rd star above the fireplace, marking the halfway point to the community center completion. The rest of the evening is spent at the farm mining out these large rocks with my new steel pickaxe in the middle of a thunderstorm. I never said I was a smart farmer. I'm back on the sauce on day 63 as I learn another recipe, then collect some more batteries from my lightning rods. The chicken coop is full of cute furry friends that need pets, and then it's down to the secret woods to get some more hardwood. My barn was completed overnight, so I have to go purchase some dairy cows, named Bessie and Born, if you know you know. I haven't opened geodes in a minute, so I give Clint some money to pop those open, then donate all my findings to the library. Back on the farm, I made another quality sprinkler and populate its tile with cranberries before meeting up with Willie down by the mines, where the Junimos broke open the rock overnight and allowed the river to be rich with ore. Day 64 will be known as Berry Day, as I have some cranberries ready for harvest, and blackberries are available to pick on the bushes in town. I bought some more cranberry seeds and spent the remainder of the day cleaning up the woodland area and beautifying my farm with more stone pathing. All that berry picking got me up to level 7 in the foraging skill, and now I can make tree fertilizer, which will become very important later on. It's day 65, and I just got a letter. It's from Lewis letting me know that the Stardew Valley Fair is in a week. With all those blackberries I collected yesterday, I make sure to complete the Forager's Bundle, then gear up with food to head to the desert to spend the rest of the day in the Skull Caverns, where I get another mining skill level up. I purchased and placed a heater in the barn on day 66, so that my cows can be all warm and snuggly when those cold winter months come around. Then I spent the entire day, which was a rainy and lucky day, fishing for catfish. And as you can see, I made quite a bit of money off of those fishy boys. I'm finally starting to like the way that my farm looks on day 67 with all these crops and ingots ready to be harvested. The train came to town today, but it didn't drop any free goodies. So I don't know how it works or how to get any free stuff, but I'll keep trying. Speaking of free stuff, I'm tired of cutting grass and not getting any hay out of it, so I bought myself a silo. The rest of the day is spent down by the beach foraging for coral and doing some fishing at the ice lake. I've got my scythe out on day 68 to harvest some hay and amaranth, before heading over to Pierre's to buy more cranberry seeds. Marnie requested some amaranth, so I dropped that off on my deliveries, only to notice that I can finally get in her room and pick up the mayor's trousers. After parading around his bloomers in the town square, I decide it's time to hand them back over. And then I spent the rest of the day unsuccessfully refreshing floor 10 of the mines looking for copper ores. On day 69, nice, I harvest some cranberries and then purchase some more cranberry seeds. While I'm at Pierre's, I give Abigail a present for her birthday and then head on over to the Skull Caverns and get a whole bunch of gold. My eyes are glued to the Queen of Sauce on day 70 as I learn how to make another recipe. Then it's out to the fields where pumpkins are ready to be harvested. I went to Pierre's to buy something and got wrangled into carrying Abigail in a game of Prairie King since, she knew, just look at me, I'm an elite gamer. You look at me and you think, bam, gamer. With that pumpkin harvest, I was able to complete the fall crop bundle. And I spent the remainder of the day copper farming before hitting the hay and learning about my perks for being a level 9 farmer. Day 71 is quite a boring one if you ask me. I spent some time taking care of all my animals, including the dairy cows Bessie and Born, and then spent the rest of the day doing Skull Cavern runs in which I got up to level 7 in my combat skill for beating up on all these flying dudes. It's been a while since I checked out the cave, so that's what I do the morning of day 72. Today is the Stardew Valley Fair, and I make sure to bring some pretty dope stuff for my display, including an iridium bar, diamond, and the crimson fish I caught. I spent most of the fair in the fishing minigame and target shooting minigame before putting everything on green and winning big. With all those stars, I made sure to purchase my second star drop of the playthrough and the rare crow. And now for the main event. Lewis checks out on all the displays, and guess what? Your boy won on his first year. That's a pretty PogChamp moment if you ask me. Day 73 begins on the coop as I got to make sure these chickens are happy. I decide to check out the new quest board and accept the one from the wizard and head straight to Skull Caverns to fight some ghosts and mine some ores in an attempt to get some ectoplasm. Call me Ocean Spray because it's cranberry harvesting time on day 74. Then it was back to Skull Caverns where I successfully acquired some fresh, juicy ectoplasm for my wizard friend. The rest of the day was spent mining in the caverns and getting up to level 9 mining skill. I got more cranberries to pick off on day 75, along with some chicken eggs to collect and birds to pet. I pick up a rare crow from the traveling merchant because I don't know if I got this one yet, then deliver the ectoplasm to 𝐕𝐿𝐼. I then stop by Caroline's tea garden and have a grand old time before cracking open a whole bunch of Omni Geodes with Clint. And I mean a whole bunch, like a lot. I donate my haul of artifacts and minerals to Gunther at the library and decide to spend some of that coin on a shiny new sword. Of course, I got to test it out on the slimes and the mines whilst I look for more gold. After that donation haul, Gunther hooked me up with a rusty key on day 76, and I also got a crafting recipe for the mini obelisk from the wizard dude. Caroline also hooked me up with a tea sapling recipe for hanging out with her yesterday. With the rusty key in hand, I went straight to the sewers to meet up with everyone's favorite boy, 𝐕𝗵𝗲, and purchased my third star drop. The rest of the day was spent fighting dinosaurs in Skull Caverns. I guess the Queen of Sauce likes the fall since she's on TV again on day 77. Of course, I collect my ripe and juicy eggplants, and then give Shane a ruby that he requested. I then spent the remainder of the day fishing at the ice lake. It's been a while since I've done an end of profit screen, so here it is. It's not a bad day if I do say so myself. I began day 78 just hanging out fishing down by the river when I reel up a sunken treasure that has an ancient doll in it, something I've been desperate to get my hands on. Of course, I take it directly to the community center and complete the children's bundle, before taking up Demetrius's aquatic overpopulation quest. I have to catch 10 salmon, so I might be sitting by this bridge for a while, just doing some fishing. It's day 79, and I've got even more cranberries to harvest, along with some sap and mushrooms from this mushroom tree. I don't know if these are rare to grow, but it's pretty neat. I spent the rest of the day at the river catching some salmon, along with fishing up a diamond. Someone needs to let me know in the comments, like, how lucky do you need to be to get diamonds, because I've gotten 2. A nice rainy day 80 makes for the perfect harvesting time. I decided to start on my next project, an oak resin farm down by the train station. So I put those acorns down and just have to wait for them to grow. It's back to salmon fishing as I finally get the 10th and final salmon I need to complete the quest and get some decent money out of it. With all this cash in my pocket, I decided to purchase 1 void egg off my dude 𝐕𝗵𝗲, and my dumb ass spent way too much time looking for an incubator in a default coop, I'll tell you that much. To end the day, I stomped down to the Hidden Woods and picked up the final dwarf scroll by killing a slime. I hit the sack and basked in the money rolling into my account. Dimitri sent me a letter the morning of day 81 containing the crafting recipe for a farm computer. I'm not exactly sure what a farm computer does, but I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. I also got the first of many oak resins from the tree farm. I created my first keg and put a blackberry in it to make my first bit of wine. The rest of the day was spent farming for gold in Skull Caverns. I pick up right where I left off on day 82, back in Skull Caverns to beat up some bad guys, get some gold, and just spend the entire day running around hacking at enemies and making money, until I got up to level 8 in combat skill, granting me the ability to incubate slimes. It was also a pretty good day in terms of making stacks on stacks on stacks. I'm back in the cranberry fields on day 83 to make more money. Then it's over to the chicken coop to say hello to my feathered friends and collect their eggs. I decided to upgrade my defense by purchasing and equipping some space boots from the Adventurers Guild before completing a children's maze, because that's what this is, and picking up a gold pumpkin, which I honestly have no clue if it has a special purpose, but I mean it does look pretty nice. I get my Gordon Ramsay on and learn another recipe the morning of day 84, the last day of fall, and complete one last cranberry harvest before the winter freeze sets in. After saying hello to and milking my fluffy cow friends, I head on down to Pierre's to purchase the 100 units of wheat flour that I'll need to complete the Home Cooks bundle, leaving the Enchanter's bundle as the final hurdle for the bulletin board. After contemplating for a good while, I decided to go for the big coop upgrade down at Robin's workshop. Then head up to the train tracks where once again, there's no free goodies for me. I was pretty upset, so I ran down to the traveling merchant and purchased a legal drug in the form of a coffee bean and a rare crow. The rest of the evening was spent getting my Paul Bunyan on in the forest and planting and fertilizing my tree seed haul down by the train tracks. The farming level up I got earlier today was my 10th and final farming skill. And of course I'm gonna select that artisan profession for those wine gains. Day 85 in the first day of winter begins by making some beer and then chopping down more trees in the forest. Over the course of the day, I collected every winter forageable that I needed to complete the winter foraging bundle. With this bundle done and dusted, the arts and crafts room has been repaired by the Yo-Yo Junimo boys, and another star gets added to the community center fireplace. A nice little bonus for completing this room means that the Junimos will fix the bridge leading to the quarry. I also got level 8 in my foraging skill, but that's not super important. I've got some mail the morning of day 86 from Marnie letting me know that the auto grabber is up for sale. Additionally, Robin also sent me a letter informing me of her new wood chipper in stock. I also learned that you have to have a big coop to incubate eggs, so I pop on over to the new coop that I just made and throw in the void egg that I bought from Krobus. My oak resin farm is progressing nicely as I tap those trees, and then it's over to the quarry that needs a good cleaning up. I finished the second day of winter down by the beach, catching a squid and giving it to my favorite fishing boy, Willie. Now that I have an upgraded coop, the first thing I do on day 87 is go buy a duck and name her Goose. Then it's off to the wizard hut to give him a cave carrot. I explored the cave next to the quarry area for a good long while and found this sick golden scythe, which is pretty sweet, and I spent the evening clearing the quarry of all the rocks. I start day 86 with a nice jaunt through the snowy fields near Linus's campsite and dig up a dinosaur egg, just chilling. Then I head over to Robin's and upgrade to a deluxe coop. The rest of the day is spent in the desert down in Skull Caverns looking for some way to make up for all those lost profits with my inability to grow crops. I had a pretty good day of mining, as you can see from my haul. Day 89 begins by chopping down every tree in my sightline in the forest since I need to replenish my wood after buying all those coop upgrades. After going in to check in on Haley and Emily, I get insulted by Haley just calling me a simple farm boy. So she doesn't want to pick her shit up, so that's the problem, and I just need to be like, hey, stop being a slob. Just have one chore a week. Clean your stuff up, lady. Turns out everyone is okay with that compromise, so I just go back to being a simple farm boy and do some fishing down by the lake. As I'm sleeping tight in my nice little bed, a scary witch lady drops off a little surprise in my new deluxe coop. Clint sent me a letter the morning of day 90 to play Cupid and give Emily an amethyst for him. I mean, I'm more than down. But before we do that, I gotta check on all the birds in the chicken coop and head down to Marnie's and purchase a rabbit, which is way more expensive than I thought it was going to be. I buy him anyways, and I name him Thumper because, I'm a 90s kid. I spent a decent amount of the day refreshing floor 10 in the mines looking for copper ores before finally completing Clint's quest and giving Emily an amethyst. And she says, "I don't care where you got it from, it's beautiful." And she kisses me. So, sorry Clint, but she's for the streets, man. We get lost in the sauce the morning of day 91 before hitting up the traveling merchant who has some large goat milk for me. I see 𝐕𝐲𝐵𝐵 running around outside, and I go down to the sewers and see, "Yo, what's up, dude? Why were you outside?" And he's like, "Oh, I wasn't outside." And so I'm just like, okay, whatever. I go to the community center, and I drop off the goat milk, wine, and the juice that I've made. And then I spend the evening fishing and looking around for 𝐕𝐲𝐵𝐵 until I find him in a bush. Kinda random, but you hang out in the bushes, my dude. Do whatever you want. And to finish off the evening, I put some honey in the keg, which will end up making some mead. Speaking of kegs, it's straight back to him on day 92 to collect my wine and mead. Then it's off to the chicken coop, where a new void chicken has been hatched. I name her Penny, cause why not, and I also collect a duck egg. With the duck egg and mead in tow, I can complete the animal bundle and brewer's bundle to completely repair the pantry of the community center and get the 5th star above the fireplace. Today is also the ice festival, so I get my fishing rod ready and catch a solid 6 fish in the competition, and of course, level 10 fisher, I take home the dub, baby. My reward isn't too bad, so that's a bonus. I got a nice fun little hat. I finish the day by putting a dinosaur egg in the incubator and watching the Junimos repair the greenhouse. It's my first time ever having the greenhouse on day 93, and I have no clue what kind of crops I can grow in it, so I just throw down some spring and summer seeds and some wild seeds to see what grows. After confirming that they all work, I put down my ancient and starfruit seeds to get those watered. Funny story, I spent so much time failing to make mead by putting in random stuff in the kegs, and the day after I complete the pantry, I dig up the lost book explaining how to make everything in a keg. So that's totally useless now, but I thought it was a funny coincidence. I spent the rest of the day resetting floor 10 for copper ores to make more kegs, and I went to bed. Speaking of kegs, again, I made 3 more the morning of day 94, which I get placed down and then populated with various fruits I found in the Bat Cave to make lots of wine. The rest of the day was spent doing a Skull Caverns run, looking for ores and consequently getting a level up in the mining skill. This is my 10th and final level up, and I went ahead and took the gemologist profession. I decided to totally redo my farm on day 95. I got rid of all the cobblestone little pathing that I made, and replaced it with a different type of stone floor, a good amount. I mean, there's still left. There's a lot of cobblestone to get rid of. And this is a month-long renovation, and this is just step 1. So, yeah, it was a lot of work. On day 96, I got a letter from Rasmodius saying he needs some void essence, and I got plenty of that, baby. So I accept the quest, I hand off the goods, and then, it's a good luck day. So farm reno's gonna have to wait. I crack open some geodes at Clint's and kill some monsters down in Skull Caverns. There's a whole bunch of scary dudes on this floor, but I didn't die, I didn't come home empty-handed, which is, that's always a win. Some old lady is at my door on day 97, she's got a plant pot for me. Thanks, old lady. I then spend way too much time at Robin's workshop, moving around my coop, greenhouse, barn, and silo, and I mean it when I say way too much time. This isn't even their final configurations. I ended up changing them later, but I guess I thought this looked good at some point, but they get changed. I spend the rest of the evening just doing pathing. A good portion of this pathing will remain the same, but now, looking back on it, it's funny knowing that I end up destroying a lot of this and moving it over like 1 or 2 spaces to the left or right. I got a letter on day 98 letting me know that the night market will be in town tomorrow with free coffee. Speaking of coffee, it might look like I've used some while putting up these fences and doing even more pathing, but trust me, no coffee was consumed. I did all this renovation stuff without using any speed boost because I'm insane. Insanity drives you to do crazy things, like tearing up all the pathing you did last night and spending the entirety of another night doing even more pathing because something is uneven. It's so much fun. Day 99 is my favorite day of the playthrough so far. It starts by picking up some wine and, you guessed it, doing more construction. This time I'm plotting out and measuring out my mega crop field for next spring. After doing all that work with the barns and the paths, I realized that my crop area would be way too small, so It's over to Robin's to reposition my barn, coop, and silo so that I can make sure I get everything right before spring comes around. Then it's off to the night market, where the traveling merchant has exactly what I need, a rabbit's foot. Of course, I check out the mermaid show, but it doesn't seem to have anything interesting going on there. Then I head down to the ocean floor and do a little bit of fishing, but finally, it's up to the community center where my newly purchased rabbit foot and wine complete the Enchanter's bundle, fixing the bulletin board and the common area. As the 𝐎𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐻 say goodbye, the community center is now complete with all 6 stars, and I'm a very happy boy. The morning of day 100, I get a letter from Lewis thanking me for finishing the community center bulletin. As I head up to the resin farm, I run into the wizard looking at this weird cave. He says I need to talk to 𝐷𝐵𝐵𝐵 and get a talisman to unlock the route. As I head down to the sewers, I run into all the villagers celebrating their reopening of the community center. Everybody's having a grand old time, the new facilities are refurbished, and Pierre and Morris get in a fist fight, and Pierre kills Morris, just punches him into next week. As I was donating some lost books to the library, I picked up one about legendary fish and how to catch them, so I do my best looking for the glacier fish, with no luck. But I was able to catch the mutant carp in the sewers. Now that I'm down here, I speak to 𝐷𝐵𝐵𝐵, who opens up the route to get the talisman, grab it from the treasure chest, and then pick up my wine before bed. On day 101, I have so many letters in the mailbox. One from Willie telling me to come around when I have a chance, and then a whole bunch of letters with just recipes. And one final letter from Pierre, who is now open 7 days a week. My greenhouse has yielded its first crop as all these wild forageables are ready for harvest. And I finally figured out that you can just right-click on secret notes to use them. I've been trying to give them to Gunther, and he doesn't want them. This first secret note is from Linus, I'm guessing, telling me what you can find in certain trash cans on lucky days. So I go back to my home and get out all my collected secret notes and start cracking them open. The second one is pretty easy, but I just gotta wait for that one. The third one, I don't know exactly how to do this, but the fourth one, yeah, let's go ahead and do that one. So let's go down to the desert and go to where X marks the spot and dig it up. And it was just weird thing. I then read some more secret notes. One about Junimos and what they like, and then another from Penny with gift suggestions, which will come in handy. And then the final one is from Gunther talking about a door hidden in the tunnel. As day turns to night, I'm over by the train station using the talisman I got yesterday to open up the cave, where I encounter a goblin henchman who won't let me through. So it sounds like we're gonna have to convince him to let me through some way. And I finish the day by making some weird sounds with Linus in his tent. A package of a complete breakfast is left in my mailbox from Gus the morning of day 102. I also got a letter from the mayor giving me a white elephant gift buddy. That's gonna be Sam. In the greenhouse, I harvest the ripe starfruit and then head down to the mines and finally break down the wall to the dwarf guy. I purchase the rare crow he sells and get double diamonds at the quarry and then go to the forest and chop down some trees. I'm still going for that glacier fish, so I found a bubbly patch in the water and did some fishing before finishing the day by placing some fruit in the kegs. I spent, I kid you not, all of day 103 doing farm beautification. This included fencing out the area for the big crop field, the barn, the coop, doing a whole bunch of pathing to make everything a little more even. Like I said previously, I don't even know if this is gonna be the end of it. I like it right now, but things can change. But it looks good. It looks good right now. I've got some more ingots ready to be collected the morning of day 104. Then it's down to the chicken coop where my dinosaur egg is hatched. The game says it's a lizard, so I named her Lizzie, but it kind of looks like a dinosaur to me. Speaking of, I also got a rabbit's foot, so I really didn't need to purchase one. Funny how that works. Speaking of coincidences, I also donated a lost book to the library that details everything about goblins. The most important bit is that they love void mayonnaise. I learned the pumpkin pie recipe on day 105 thanks to the Queen of Sauce. Then check out a secret note from Alex to find out what he loves. Remembering that note from the other day about the door in the tunnel, I run over to check that out, but it needs a battery. So I run back to the farm, grab one, slot it in, beginning another quest line. The rest of this day is spent in the Skull Caverns killing bad guys. It's the morning of day 106, and Jody is at my door asking me over for dinner. Of course I accept. You say no to this face. I then open up another secret note showing a young Marnie with a baby Jas. It's just so cute. Secret note number 2 showed me that the mermaid show did have a point. I just didn't have the code, but this will come in handy for next year, definitely. Note number 3 is from Sam and has his holiday shopping list full of favorite gifts of other villagers. I finally have some time during the day, so I head on down to Willie's shop, where he shows me a busted up ship that I have the pleasure to repair. That evening, I head over to Jody and Sam's house, where we have a delicious dinner of largemouth bass. I'm out on the farm doing some scarecrow placing and sprinkler measuring the morning of day 107. Then it's off to Willie's, where I donate 5 battery packs, 200 pieces of hardwood, and 5 iridium ingots to repair the ship. Unfortunately, I have to wait a day, so I'm down in the mines looking for more copper. Farm beautification resumes on day 108 as I purchase another silo and place it next to the barn for symmetry's sake. My void mayonnaise is finally ready, so I head back to the goblin henchman and gift it to him. He gets out of my way, so I get inside the house and I pick up the wizard's ink that he originally asked me for. He rewards this fetch quest with a magic book that can summon a Junimo hut for a whole lot of resources I don't have right now. I end the day by lighting up the paths on the farm since I'm afraid of the dark, and dumping a whole bunch of produce that I have had stockpiled into the shipping bin. Now, this is an aesthetically pleasing end screen, and I even get a little Santa flying by. It's day 109, and I've got some wine ready for sale. I head on down to the holiday celebration in the square and give Sam a complete breakfast. Fun fact, I actually mixed up Alex and Sam. Alex completes breakfast, but Sam didn't seem too mad about it, so it's whatever. My secret gifter was Lewis, and he got me a glow ring. Thanks, Lewis. You're the best, dude. It's day 110, and I'm in the coop checking on my chickens, dinosaur, and rabbit before hitting up the greenhouse and planting some more starfruit seeds and ancient seeds. Winter's ending soon, so I got to make sure I do some fishing. Then I take my first trip on Willie's refurbished boat to a super secret tropical island. I found a golden walnut just chilling in the dark, met a weird child who won't talk to me, and fed the walnut to a toucan sitting next to him. I then spent way too much time exploring this island looking for more ways to unlock it, and just giving up and then going fishing instead. Day 111, the penultimate day of this video, begins at the train station, where I still can't get any free goodies, even with these sick dance moves. I head on down to Robin's and purchase a fish pond and place it down in a spot that I'm probably going to end up moving later. I then spend the evening doing some pathing around the new fish pond, and then deciding it was ugly and just getting rid of it and lighting up the area instead. It's day 112, baby, the final day, and we begin by the playset waiting until noon to get my secret note reward, which is a massive little Junimo plushie. Then it's back to the tropical island, where I once again spend way too much time trying to figure out how to progress this little area and where this little flame guy went and how to get more golden walnuts, and I immediately just use a farm warp totem to get home because I can't deal with it. I then spent the rest of this first year just chilling on the refurbished couch of the community center, enjoying the fruits of my labor for this first year in Stardew Valley. I step out into the spring air on day 113 as a new valley dweller, Kent, makes his introduction. I check my mail and someone made sure to let me know that Pelican Town is not immune to inflation as Robin and Clint's prices have increased. And then it's over to Pierre's to purchase my potato seeds for the first crop of this year. The mega crop field I created in winter of last year is finally ready to be tilled and populated with potato seeds, and I make sure that my cows are well fed and my coop animals have enough room to run around. I then finish off the day by watering those potatoes and hitting the sack. Our first 1.6 edition reveals itself during my blissful slumber, as mystery boxes have been distributed throughout Stardew Valley. These can be found by pretty much doing anything: mining rocks, killing monsters, chopping trees, fishing, you name it. The morning of day 114, I got a letter from Marnie with yet another 1.6 edition. I can now adopt more pets. The licensing fees are pretty expensive, so I think I'll hold off on that for now and make sure all my coop animals are taken care of. I also took the advice from a few commenters of my last video, 𝐼𝐵 and Ryukagi, and let my animals outside using the flaps on the outside of the coop. In my greenhouse, a succulent ancient fruit is ready for harvest, and then I take my first trip of the year to Ginger Island. Another huge shout out is in order for O Caroline and Ms. Lamblams in the comment section. I've never been to Ginger Island before, and they really helped me out for these next couple days, specifically letting me know to keep an eye out for patterns or irregularities. With their help, I found a couple golden walnuts buried under these little stone circle thingies, before running into another 1.6 addition, the Joja Parrot, who will find every golden walnut for me for 1 million G. Now that might come in handy later, but for now I want to have the authentic Ginger Island experience. So I make my way into the volcano dungeon by using the watering can to get access across the lava. Shout out to my boy Kakashi and ZombieKiller in the YouTube comments for helping me out with that one. I spent some time in the dungeon doing some mining where I found a golden walnut and killed some little fire boys, netting me my first ever cinder shards. I quickly realized that I wasn't ready for this dungeon yet, so I hightailed it out of there and went home to end the day. Day 115 begins by making my first trip to the desert of this year and visiting the Skull Cavern. On the early floors, I found myself some pretty neat crystal shoes and made it all the way to floor 26, where I was able to get some well-needed iridium ores. I guess I'm a little rusty in the mining department as I got a little overzealous and ended up in Harvey's hospital bed. Lucky for me, it was only 1000 G to fix me up, and I only lost some inconsequential items from my trip. I did manage to find a secret note from Mr. Key, but I already started that questline by stumbling into it a couple seasons ago. I went straight to bed, and I guess there was a lightning storm overnight that blasted open the old Joja Mart. I totally didn't forget to feed my cows yesterday, so I get that rectified to start day 116. And then I make my first big chest, a brand new item introduced in the 1.6 update. This new chest almost doubles the storage space compared to a regular chest, and can be placed right on top of the current one to easily replace the items. Look at all those squares I can fill up now. Speaking of filling up, I'm gonna need a whole bunch of kegs to fill if I ever want to be a millionaire. So I made my way to the train station to cut down some trees I planted to get some wood, and I stumbled across yet another new 1.6 update mechanic, my first skill book. Now this skill book, Woodcutter's Weekly, doesn't do anything super cool, but it does give me 250 foraging XP I didn't have before. While chopping down even more of these trees, I found another secret note. This one is from Grandpa saying that he's hidden a very special secret for me somewhere in the valley, but I'll only find it when I'm ready. While coming back from my deforestation session, I found Abigail chilling in the rain playing the flute. She looked lonely, so I took out the harpsichord that I famously always have on my person and jam out while getting absolutely soaked. To dry out, I decided to hit up the Calico Desert and start my wood farm. I spent almost the entire day planting pine cones in the sand so that I will have a reliable source of wood in the future. The morning of day 117 is all about farming. I made some more quality sprinklers, got the ground all tilled up and planted with potatoes, which subsequently got wet, and the traveling trader is in town today, so I grabbed myself a rare seed and then got even more potato seeds to plant over at Pierre's. Of course, I get those shoved into the ground and watered before making a couple more kegs from the wood I gathered yesterday. While I was getting my lost copper ores back from the Adventurers Guild, I noticed a present in Marlin's room which contained a skill book, Mapping Cave Systems. If I knew this was there before buying my ores back, I could have saved a couple hundred G. For those curious, I still have a long way to go in the monster eradication goals, so I decided to spend some time in the mines refreshing floor 41 to kill dust sprites and get iron and quartz to smelt to finish off the day. I got a letter from Emily to start day 118. It looks like she is in need of an apricot, and I know I have one in my fridge, so I grabbed that before collecting some more fruit in the Bat Cave. All that iron and quartz came in handy as I made even more quality sprinklers, and I also made a couple iridium sprinklers to continue fleshing out the greenhouse. As I went to give Emily that apricot she requested, I found her reaching nirvana as she spouts some hippy-dippy knowledge about light and secrets or something. Anyways, I was able to give her the apricot, which she thanked me for. Then it's back out to the crop field to plant even more potatoes. My brewing empire is going to require a lot of kegs, so I get some more oak seeds planted by the train station, then finish off the day by doing more dust sprite farming on floor 41 of the mines before hitting the sack for the evening. As I rested peacefully, a fairy visited my farm. Shout out to Natty from my previous video for letting me know how lucky I was for getting the fairy with my strawberry crop last year. I started off day 119 by watching some TV and picking up the pizza recipe. And then Emily gave me the salad recipe in the mail. Salad and pizza, Oops, my bad. Back to the game. I got a whole bunch of potatoes that need to be harvested, and my star fruits in the greenhouse are ready to be plucked too. Lucky for me, Leah's request is for a potato, so that's an easy accept. before selling Pierre my harvest of over 20,000 G and reinvesting with some more potato seeds. I found Leah down by the lake and gave her the potato she asked for, and here's my friendship list at this point in time. I still got lots to do if I want to befriend everyone. While cutting down some trees, I found a secret note from Emily and Haley's parents, giving me insight into some of their favorite gifts. And then spent the afternoon replanting my crop field with more potatoes. It's been a while since I hit up the Skull Cavern, so I fought some serpent dudes who dropped a secret note that shows me Maru's favorite gifts. And then I fought another serpent that dropped a skill book, the Monster Compendium. A chance at double loot? Sign me up, dude. That's the perfect way to end the day. I start day 120 by crafting a handful of quality sprinklers and getting those put into the crop field. I then make sure my ducks, chickens, lizards, and rabbits are all happy boys and girls. And then over to the mines I go, where I found the dwarf has yet another skill book, the Dwarvish Safety Manual, that makes using bombs much more practical. I spent the afternoon crushing dust sprites, and then I was over to Skull Cavern, where I found my first treasure floor. Unfortunately for me, I only got a couple of rain totems. So to finish the day off, I decided to pick up Pierre's prime produce quest and get yet another sprinkler placed on the farm. Day 121 begins in the chicken coop field, checking on my birds, then collecting another ancient fruit from the greenhouse. After finishing my farm chores, I decided that today was going to be entirely committed to another Skull Cavern run. I found myself a secret note about someone losing a necklace in the bathhouse. I got another treasure floor, but still nothing really great came out of it. And then I found another secret note written in terrible English about bringing some maple syrup to the secret woods. The most exciting thing that happened today was that I finally got a prismatic shard. The first thing I did was take it right to the desert shrine, and bada bing bada boom, your boy ends the day by getting a dope weapon, the galaxy sword, baby. The morning of day 122, I finally finished getting all the sprinklers I needed for not only the main mega crop field, but also the greenhouse. Now that I've got a decent sword, I decided to return to Ginger Island for the first time in a while, and collect some golden walnuts by fighting some monsters in the volcano dungeon. I made it all the way to the 5th floor, where I met the dwarf who's selling some dope Cinder Clown shoes and some recipes that I decided to pick up. After that, I made it all the way to the top of the volcano. I picked up the 2 golden walnuts at the entrance and exit respectively, then picked up another prismatic shard from the chest. I then had my first experience with the forge. Please forgive all the mistakes and wasted time I spent here. I really had no clue what I was doing or how to use cinder shards or anything like that. So I decided to call it quits and go home. But not before reading some journal scraps that taught me all the tips that my commenters in the last video already told me. So it's almost like you guys were the ones leaving these notes for me around the island. I also met everyone's favorite bird boy for the first time, now that I had enough golden walnuts. If you don't love Leo, we can't be friends. I'm sorry, it's how it has to be. Anyways, an exciting day was put to bed as I used a farm warp totem to go home. I've got some ripe potatoes that need plucking to start day 123, and the bats have left me some treats in the cave. That prismatic shard I found at the volcano gets donated to Gunther, and then I decided to crack open some of those mystery boxes I've collected. Some of the stuff you can get in these are pretty sweet, like the mountain totem, but more often than that, it's all pretty meh. That afternoon, my quarry project started by crushing some ores, then it was over to the desert to check out how my tree farm is coming along. I spent some time in the Skull Cavern and found myself another secret note, talking about Junimos and feeding them raisins. I then killed some dinosaurs to find another treasure floor where I got 10 cinder shards. I went home and sold off some gems I've been hoarding to call it a day. Day 124 is super exciting, and it's not because tomorrow's the Egg Festival or I have a bunch of potatoes, they're potatoes, that are ready for harvest. It's exciting because it's finally time to reveal a new mod I added and who I will be marrying in this playthrough. I had you guys and gals vote, and the winner was 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝗡. But since I'm a red-blooded alpha male, I decided to install another mod that not only makes 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝗡 marriageable, but also turns him into a super bad waifu, 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝗡, equipped with heart events and special dialogue. I've installed a handful of mods for this series, all of which will be linked below in the description. But please keep in mind, none of these mods are game-breaking or detract from the wiki-free nature of this playthrough. Since I know nothing about 𝐼𝐵𝗲𝗡's favorite gifts, marrying her might be an uphill battle. but I'm committed to marrying this girl. Another exciting new feature in 1.6 makes its first appearance today, the bookseller. This special trader comes to town twice a season and sells some pretty amazing skill books. I decided to pick up the Way of the Wind today, since it gives you a nice speed boost when walking around town. Do you remember when that lightning strike opened up the old Joja Mart? Well, I haven't been inside yet, so I shimmied my way in and found another Junimo, who looks like he needs me to complete a bundle of some super rare items. That afternoon, I decided to expand my capacity for smelting, and then made my way to the Skull Cavern, where after over 120 days, I was finally able to master the combat skill by killing some slimes. I finished the day off by firing up my furnaces with iron and selected the Desperado profession, and watched some money roll into my bank account. The Egg Festival highlights a very short day 125. I'm not too proud to admit that I totally failed this year's egg hunt, but that really doesn't matter. The most important thing was that I was able to plant every single strawberry seed in my mega crop field before the clock hit 2 a.m. Day 126 starts off by collecting the hash brown recipe from the Queen of South, then collecting the salmon dinner recipe from Gus in the mail. A brand new festival introduced in 1.6 is starting up tomorrow and will be located in the desert, so that's exciting. I get a dino egg put into the mayonnaise machine for the missing bundle, then hit up the traveling trader and purchase a lucky lunch. I gave Resmodia some wool I got from my rabbits, but it seems like it isn't the best gift to give. Today is Haley's birthday, and I remember I got a special note saying that she really liked pink cake. So I gave her one of those, which she really seemed to like. I don't know how she teleported to the beach, but she ended up losing a bracelet, which of course I found and returned to her.
Where my hug at?
I took a ride over to the Calico Desert that afternoon to collect some wood, and I managed to level up my foraging to level 9, which is pretty uneventful, so I just go back to chopping more trees. Down in the caverns, I spent some more time killing slimes, looking for iridium ores, and I found a treasure floor with some mega bombs, much to my dismay. And to finish off the day, I was able to find another secret note about something hidden behind the community center. The Calico Desert Festival starts today, day 127, so I collected a quest from Granny Evelyn, picked up some Dino Mayo, and accepted the Cave Patrol quest from Clint, before dropping off 25 golden potatoes at Pierre's. Completing that quest gave me another new 1.6 item and feature, the prize machine. Every time you get a prize ticket, either by completing quests or doing other stuff around town, you can exchange them for prizes in the mayor's house. I got 12 carrots from this one. I spent some time with everyone's favorite incel, Clint, and broke open some artifact troves and geodes. I donated some stuff to the museum, but I still have a long way to go to complete it. But at least I got a crystallarium out of this round of donations. I finally made my way to the desert and discovered the wonder of this brand new festival. Some townspeople like George and Pam have set up their own shops that you can buy stuff from. There's a race between some animals that, of course, I won. And they even brought a chef in to create some meals. The first meal I got used a rare fruit and hot sauce to make an amazing dish, rumpled fruit skin, that granted me +1 speed and +3 luck. I picked up a special festival quest to kill 10 serpents in the Skull Cavern and started making my way down the floors. I found these cool little cat shrines that can give you nice rewards like a calico egg, or they give you no effects at all. After a good long while, I was finally able to kill my 10th serpent and complete the quest. I took my winnings and bought a pale ale from Pam at her stall, since I still had to complete her quest all the way from fall of last year. I took the pale ale I bought and gave it right back to her, and she seemed pretty okay with it. I utilized the farm warp totem guy to get back home, and finished the day off by making a big chest for all the rings, clothing items, and extra swords I have. Today wasn't a bad money day either from all the minerals and artifacts I was able to sell. Day 128 starts in the cow pen, as I get some delicious white stuff from those udders, and then hit up the greenhouse to harvest some sweet gem berries. I grab all the ready oak resin by the train station, then head back to the desert for the second day of festivities. I once again decided to go with the Serpent Slayer monster hunt quest, and found a cat totem to help me out. While getting some iridium, I got another prismatic shard, and then found a secret note treasure map. Killing all those serpents really came down to the wire, as I dispatched the last 2 I needed with just enough time to make it home before 2 a.m. I got a lot of ores mining yesterday, so I start day 129 by picking up the smelted bars, then running over to the abandoned Joja Mart to drop off the prismatic shard and dino mayo I've collected thus far. Now that I'm on the final day of the festival, I was able to correctly answer all of those trivia questions. I definitely wasn't embarrassed on the first couple days, and that's why I didn't show them or anything like that. I went for the treasure hunt quest today since 𝐻𝐻𝐷𝐿 are easier to find than iridium ore, and the cat statues really hooked it up by giving me not only more ghosts, but also more monsters in general. Killing all these ghosts makes getting 𝐻𝐻𝐷𝐿 super simple, and I was able to finish the quest by getting lucky by breaking a rock. To finish off the final day of the desert festival, I used my calico eggs to purchase some accessories, as well as a handful of lucky lunches. A rainy day 1:30 means I'm in the barn, making sure my cows are fed and collecting some milk, before finally starting up my lava eel farm. I gave Rasmodia a duck feather, which once again wasn't a favorite gift, then dumped off some ores into the smelters. Now that the festival's over, I can focus on that cave patrol quest from Clint, and started killing some skeletons in the mines. I spent pretty much all day doing just that. Day 131 begins in the greenhouse, collecting some ripe ancient fruit. Any ripe fruit almost always gets turned into seeds as I work to create an ancient fruit empire. In the bird coop, we have a brand new friend, Porsche the lizard. I have no good reason why I named her that, but she seems happy enough with that name. Since I've stocked up on ores, I've decided to take a crack at fishing for more legendary fish. The one for the spring is the Legend, which from the book in the library says can be found in the log submerged in the mountain lake on rainy days. Lucky for me, today is rainy, so I grab a brand new duck-themed bobber at Willie's and head over to the lake. This scaly dude put up quite a fight, but a max-level fisher combined with some fishing-enhanced food makes my fishing bar absolutely massive, resulting in an easy catch. While I was skeleton farming, I found a secret note compelling me to get to level 100 of the Skull Cavern. But I went right back to chopping down these bony boys, where I finally completed the monster eradication goal. But I still had a ways to go to complete the patrol quest. I finished this day off by making another big chest, since my fishing storage is really getting out of hand. My main goal on day 132 was to finish the cave patrol quest early, so I started the day in the mines, where I finally killed the last skeleton I needed. Clint was generous enough to give me 6,000 G, so I gave him some money back by contracting him out to open up some mystery boxes and geodes, most of which I already had. But I did have some stuff to give to Gunther, and I got a reward. More importantly, that quest completion got me another prize ticket I could exchange for a peach sapling. Then it's over to Ginger Island. I collected enough golden walnuts to have this group of parrots shoo off the giant turtle and reveal a brand new area with what appears to be ample farming space. I also met some old lady by the beach who sent me on a quest, and I spent more time than I'm proud of trying to kill this green little worm guy. I mean, just look at me. What an idiot. I found a couple of golden walnuts hiding in plain sight, then saw this door with a walnut on it. But I guess I don't have enough walnuts to get in just yet. I'm on the right track to opening up that door though, by finding more walnuts by killing some slimes, and shaking this little bush here. Some walnuts are easy to find, like this one on the ledge, but others aren't so easy. Especially if you're as dumb as I am, thinking pushing these random buttons will work. I found 2 more golden walnuts just chillin', one by the broken down house, and another that is kinda sorta behind a hidden passage. But the coolest thing I did today was forge my galaxy sword with a prismatic shard up at the volcano to add the Crusader perk onto it. I'm not too sure what that does just yet, but I'm sure I'll find out. Completely ignore me passing a dragon tooth since I don't know what they were just yet, but I did pick up my first magma cap to finish off day 132. Clint gave me the recipe for the geode crusher to start day 133, and Pierre needs some sashimi. Sashimi is easy enough to make, so I whip that up in the kitchen, then it's strawberry picking time. My big field has 444 spaces, and it takes quite an effort to get them all harvested. But trust me, it is well worth the patience. As I was going to the general store to give Pierre his sashimi, I got the cutscene that explains why everyone has a mega distaste for this man. I mean, where does he get off charging 25,000 G for golden quality potatoes that I harvested, and that he just slapped an organic sticker on? Hello, Pierre haters, Jack's joining you. Yes, I'll hold. Anyways, I gave Pierre his sashimi, and I finally heeded the advice of commenter Sturdek and began upgrading all my tools, starting with my axe. Down at the Skull Cavern, I learned what the Crusader perk does, as I kill a mummy without needing a bomb, so that's pretty sweet. I also set a depth record today in the cavern by getting all the way down to level 59 before eventually going to bed. Even though I don't want Pierre to talk to me anymore, He gave me a blueberry tart recipe to start day 134, along with a mini shipping bin. I finally have enough iridium to spare to justify making the iridium bond ring. Then I grabbed the fragments of the past quest from Gunther and made my way to Ginger Island. I found a bird that dropped an aquamarine in the northern section of the island, which will become important later, and decided to forge it with my sword for a crit chance boost. While I was doing some monster fighting in the dungeon, I finally saw that I could pick up these dragon teeth, so I got a couple along with some iridium ores, as well as a golden walnut, before opening up one of these volcano chests and getting a new weapon, the Dragon Tooth Club. It was getting late, so I needed to sacrifice some walnuts on level 5 of the dungeon to create a getaway hole. But I made sure to break the goodie huts and got another golden walnut before heading on home. As you can see, it was a pretty good mining day. Lewis made sure to remind me that tomorrow was the flower dance, but what's more important than finding love is making money. So it's to the greenhouse to harvest some ancient fruit and star fruit. I get the furnaces all fired up and smelting copper, then made some more seed makers so that I don't have to wait so long on replanting days. Obviously, the ripe star fruits go into the seed maker, and then it's back into the greenhouse to throw some deluxe speed grow on the newly planted starfruit seeds and sweet gem berry stalks. After a long wait, my golden axe is ready for pickup, but I give it right back to Clint to upgrade it to iridium quality. Since I picked up that fragments of the past quest, I'm back in the mines slaying skeletons looking for bone fragments. This would go a lot faster with Monster Musk, wouldn't it? It's not all bad, I guess. I did get a secret note detailing Abigail's favorite gifts. I then took a quick break to hang out with my future wife and Linus, talking about the tides and other nonsense. But then it's back in the mines, where I found another secret note that details some of Leah's favorite gifts, and then went right back to slaying skeletons. Luckily, I should only have to do this for a couple more hours. To start off day 136, one of my rabbits cut off one of his feet for me, and my lava eel is asking for 3 fire quartz for some reason. I was finally able to get the last bone fragment I needed for the quest, but by the time I finished, the flower dance had already ended. It's probably for the best though. Don't want to get any of these ladies or dudes' hopes up. I did end up finding this tree stump that looks ready for carving, but I didn't have the hardwood needed to renovate it. So I spent the rest of the day down in the mines doing some fishing. These lava eels might be the hardest fish I've had to catch so far, since it's so rare to get a bite, and they're super slippery when you got them on the line. I also got a cave jelly, another new addition in 1.6. Day 137 was my final strawberry harvest of the season, so I made sure to collect all 444 of those berries, and then went over to Clint's to pick up my iridium axe. I decided to take a break from mining, so I dropped off my pickaxe to be upgraded to gold while I'm here. I dropped off those 100 bone fragments I collected a couple days ago, and got my money and prize ticket as a reward. That prize ticket got me 15 flower seeds, which is amazing, and all my strawberries fetched me a handsome 80,000 G, just in time for the bookseller to be in town. I purchased 2 skill books, The Way of the Wind 2 and Ol' Slitherlegs. Of course, I read those bad boys on the spot so that I'm super fast, even when going through crops. I want to max out my forger's skill soon, so I sold even more strawberries to pick up 2 copies of Woodcutter's Weekly. 13,000 G is a pretty steep price to pay for 500 XP, but I'm not too mad at it. Speaking of madness, this iridium axe is absolutely incredible. It only takes 3 chops to fell a tree and clear the stump. So I pretty much spent the entire day in the desert, chopping trees for foraging XP, and replanting the pine cones for sustainability. I also started working on the northern part of the desert, and turning that into a tree farm as well. With all that extra wood, I was able to create 20 more kegs, doubling my bandwidth for wine and juices. These kegs are really starting to take up a lot of room on the farm, but don't you worry, I have a plan for that. I wake up on day 138 with a letter from Gunther with a bone meal recipe, which I'm sure I'll use a lot. I collected all the oak resin from my tree farm by the train platform, along with some moss, a new resource introduced in 1.6. I've spent a lot of time trying to find a good gift for Asmodeus since she doesn't have a secret note like all the other characters for favorite gifts. But I think back to my first year in the valley and remember that quest I got where Asmodeus, before his miraculous sex change, asked for a void essence. So I gave her one of those and she really loved it. Now I have a favorite gift for her that I have a whole bunch of back at home. Since I'm working on getting foraging XP, the big stumps at the secret woods is a great farming method. And speaking of secrets, I found a secret note that shows some of the favorite gifts for Harvey, Elliot, and Shane. I also found this note, but I have no clue what it's trying to tell me. But hey, I only have one more secret note left to get. Speaking of which, I remember getting a secret note a couple days ago showing a X around the spot near my oak tree farm, and I was able to dig myself up a treasure chest. There was also a secret note about someone losing a bracelet in the spa, so I went down there and looked around the spa for a good amount of time, but I still couldn't find it. Day 139 begins near the chicken coop, giving all my animals some love. Then it's back into the secret woods to get some foraging XP, and my final secret note, which, again, I have no clue what to do with. But now I have them all, so yay for me. While I was cutting down trees in the forest, I found a random door just hanging out. But it looks like it's another door I don't have the ability to open just yet. But don't worry, I'll be back, door. I'll be back. Today is Emily's birthday, and that note I found earlier in the season is still in my mind, so I gift Emily some wool, which she loves so much that she's now my best friend in Stardew Valley. Turns out my best friend has some pretty quirky stories. Like the time a parrot from Ginger Island slammed into her front window and she nursed it back to health, only to create some sick dance moves with it. Back to reality, my golden pickaxe is ready for pickup, but I'm going straight to Iridium, baby. I was finally able to give my lava eels the 3 fire quartz that they wanted, and a whole bunch of strawberry wine was ready for collection that afternoon. As soon as I was ready to go to Calico Desert, of course, Pam decides it's time to call it quits for the day. So to vent my frustration, I did a bit of deforestation, then went to floor 100 of the mines to catch another lava eel, who gets placed into the fish pond to hang out with his new pal. I finish out the day by making 5 more kegs, and getting them placed down next to the others. And that's exactly where I pick up on day 140, the last day of spring, stocking the kegs with some not-so-fresh strawberries. After that, I make sure to complete my farm tasks like collecting eggs and other produce in the coop, getting foraging XP in the bat cave, and harvesting any greenhouse produce. I remembered that note about the maple syrup in the secret woods, so I got this neat little cutscene with a cute bear who can talk somehow. I gave him his maple syrup, and now salmon berries and blackberries are worth triple the money. While I was in the secret woods, I actually read what Old Man Cannoli is saying here, and the only thing that has the word sweet in the name is a sweet gem berry. So I gave him one, and he rewarded me with a delicious star drop. Kegs are becoming more and more important, so I get some newly grown trees tapped by the train station, and then it's over to the Calico Desert, where an expansion of my pine tree farm is in order before ending the final day of the spring season. The first day of summer means a whole bunch of dead crops need to be cut down to start day 141. Then it's over to Pierre's General Store to purchase some melon and blueberry seeds. After what felt like forever, I was finally able to get the Prismatic Jelly quest. And the good news keeps coming, as my Iridium pickaxe is ready for collecting. 444 pieces of land are populated with 222 melons and 222 blueberries. Then it's over to the mines to search for that elusive prismatic slime. I even popped a lucky lunch, but no dice today. I start day 142 by taking out my freshly smelted iron bars and doing some seed making. Those ancient fruit seeds go right back into the greenhouse, and then it's time to do some construction. In my last video, Victoria, Chi-Chi, and Ant said I should use the quarry area for kegs. So I got the bombs out to clear all the rubble, and then started placing down a whole bunch of stone tiles. This took me about 7 in-game hours. But a huge shout out is also needed for Chibi Girl for letting me know that I can reset these dirt patches with my pickaxe. It definitely made this process a lot quicker. All that work was worth it though. This will be the perfect place for my wine empire. I spent the remainder of this day in the mines doing some dust sprite farming where I got myself a prismatic shard, but more importantly, I was able to find that special rainbow slime that held the prismatic jelly I needed. My lava eels have finally produced some roe to start day 143, but it looks like adding them on the preserving jar doesn't make caviar, so I'll have to go back to the drawing board on that one. I spent some time making sure that all the ore that I got yesterday gets smelted down. Then I ran into Rasmodia living her tower and gave her the prismatic jelly to complete the quest. You know that I'm getting that prize ticket instantly and exchanging it for 3 mystery boxes. And then I felt like a trip to Ginger Island was in order. My dumbass thought the best use of my walnuts was to make the bridge today, but I got a couple of golden walnuts to make up for my stupidity by mining some ores. I decided to roll the dice on a diamond forge and got a boost to attack and speed, so not too bad, I'll take it. I spent the evening clearing off the farmland, turning up a journal scrap about the dangers of the volcano, and another journal scrap that shows me the location of something. I ended day 143 by doing some wood chopping to prepare the farmland for future crops. The morning of day 144 is a moment that I've been waiting for a long time. I finally have access to Monster Musk. But before I get too excited, the lava eels have a quest for me to add to my list, and I have farm chores to do, which include harvesting some starfruit and picking up all the coop products. Today is Jass's birthday, so I consult a secret note and find out that she loves fairy roses. So I pick one up and run straight over to give it to her. But now I can finally create my first vial of Monster Musk that will be used in due time. The beginning of my massive keg empire at the quarry is starting to take shape as I get these strawberries fermenting. Then it's over to the Calico Desert to make some foraging EXP gains. I've noted that this little skull thing was added in the 1.6 update, but I'm not too sure what it does or how to activate it just yet. But I spent the remainder of the day in the Skull Cavern farming serpents. I start day 145 by giving all my lizards, ducks, chickens, and rabbits some pets. Then I head over to the Secret Woods and pound out some hardwood to get some XP. My oak resin farm is coming along slowly but surely, and so is my relationship with 𝐅𝐵𝗲𝗰. For those curious, here's a look at how the monster eradication goals are going, and today I'm finally going to use that Monster Musk and spend the entire day farming for slimes and dust sprites. Before hitting the hay, I dump off all my ores to be smelted overnight. It looks like Demetrius needs a pufferfish, but day 146 is all about Ginger Island. But before I head over, I get to collect some aged lava eel roe, which is, to my great disappointment, not counting as caviar for the missing bundle. But we're finally on the island, starting with a journal scrap detailing a treasure spot. It was easy enough to find, and I got a walnut and a pearl out of it. And then it's over to another scrap to find another treasure spot. This time I got myself a special fishing tackle, along with that golden walnut. A green bird pooped out an emerald for me, and then it's over to the farmland to pay out all these stones that are taking up essential farming space. I totally didn't notice this while playing, but chopping down this palm tree got me a skill book called Woody's Secret, which will really help me out in getting more wood for kegs in the future. So I get that knowledge installed in my brain. I then hit the volcano dungeon, where I collected a couple golden walnuts by breaking open some containers, and I also found a journal scrap that details every single foraging effect. This includes your typical gem enhancements, as well as perks, which will be really helpful since I can't use the wiki. A whole bunch of strawberry wine is ready for sale to start day 147, and I'm not satisfied with just this. So I make a dozen more kegs and get all of them installed at the quarry. Over in the Secret Woods, I'm just getting some hardwood when I finally got my last level of foraging. I have now reached level 10 in every single skill in the game, opening up another new 1.6 edition, Mastery. I can finally access this door that I found in the spring, where Grandpa has hidden away a delightful surprise, the final path. He even left me a note, along with a whole bunch of stone totems that contain endgame crafting recipes and a whole bunch of cool stuff. Each skill has its own section and stuff you can get, and now everything you do to get XP contributes to the Mastery skill bar. But we're gonna need a lot of XP. So I might as well get straight to it and start mining some ores and farming some dust sprites to start chipping away at those Mastery levels and Monster Slayer goals. Of course, I make sure that my haul of ores gets smelted overnight, and I get to select my final profession, botanist, and finish the day by watching the wine gains roll in. A nice and rainy day 148 begins by collecting some iron and copper bars. Then it's over to the quest board to accept one from Willie. It's been a while since Clint has helped me with some mystery boxes and geodes, so I get all those cracked open, then start down the path of upgrading my hoe. I then spent the entirety of this day in the mines utilizing some Monster Musk to kill bugs. Willie's quest needs 100 bug guts, and I've made a pretty decent dent in that today. I was able to mine a bunch of copper ore during that bug hunting session yesterday, so I got those thrown into the furnace to smelt to start day 149. And then I spent the morning doing my ancient fruit rounds. I collect the ripe fruits, turn them into seeds, and get those replanted in the greenhouse. The rest of this day was committed to a Skull Cavern session. So I made my way to the desert, ate some food, and got to killing. I really wanted to finish off some monster eradication goals today, and I managed to do that on floor 38 by killing this serpent. I got a couple iridium sprinklers on the treasure floor, then accomplished another goal by killing this bat. I finished my run with a final treasure floor that contained a crystallarium. Then it's over to the Adventurers Guild to collect the napalm and vampire rings for completing the bat and serpent eradication goals. Now I just have slimes, void spirits, duggies, dust sprites, rock crabs, mummies, pepper rexes, and magma sprites to go. I finished this day off by dropping a jade in the crystallarium that I got. It's day 150 and Maru's birthday, so I consult the secret note and give her a shiny gold bar, which she loves. While I'm in the mountains, I get some oak resin collected to craft some more kegs, then hit up Clint's to pick up my copper hoe. While opening some mystery boxes, I was able to pick up 2 new skill books, but before I take a look at them, I need to upgrade my hoe to steel. The books I got were the Book of Stars and the Book of Mysteries. I decided to hold on to the Book of Stars for now, and just read the Book of Mysteries, before heading over to the quarry to drop off some more kegs. After so long, I finally found a rainbow shell. You can even see how excited I am, as I can continue the Qi's quest line. So I drop it off at the train station and get another quest to place 10 beets inside the mayor's fridge. I still have to complete Willie's bug gut quest first, so I musk up and spend the rest of the day in the mines, where I was able to kill a whole bunch of bugs and finally get the 100 I needed. The annual Stardew Luau takes place today, day 151, so I collected some copper bars and head down to the beach. For some reason, the mayonnaise I wanted to put in this wouldn't work. I think it's because it's a pre-1.6 version that you can't eat, so I decided to just toss in some lava eel roe. I tried to put all the bug guts I collected into the drum that Willie said to put them in, but I guess you can't do that during the festival. It's kinda dumb, if you ask me. Anyways, seems like the governor only liked this soup with my lava eel roe in it, so I'll just have to try again next year to get him to love it. Festival days always stink because they're so short. So I'm excited to have a regular day 152, starting with Emily mailing me a recipe for a red plate. I get some ancient fruit planted in the greenhouse, then make my way down to the beach to deposit the bug guts that I wanted to put in there yesterday. I'll take the 3000 G, but what I'm really after is these prize tickets, which I can redeem for some Star Drop tea. The bookseller is in town today, and after seeing the underwhelming trade-in prospects, I just decided to read all the books I've saved for the Mastery EXP gains. Over at Robin's shop, I got myself a much-needed workbench and purchased another fish pond. Wikipedia says the family of fish that make caviar are 𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐻, also known as sturgeon. So I go to the lake and catch a couple of sturgeon before running over to Rasmodia to give her her bi-weekly void essence. She's getting really close to girlfriend level, by the way. I then spent the entire evening building and preparing my workshop area. It took me a while, but I was able to measure out a little stretch of land that I really liked, and I moved over all the chests using the pickaxe. It's a pretty dope feature that now I can just use the workbench and not fumble through menus to craft stuff. It's melon harvest day on day 153, baby. With all this farming XP, I reached my first level of mastery. I added some aesthetic stones to my new workshop area, then ran over to Clint's to pick up my iron hoe. I made myself a bunch of big chests to finally replace all my normal ones, then I decided to break open some geodes and mystery boxes. There wasn't anything super exciting in these rocks, but I did manage to complete all the minerals collection and add 1 mineral to the museum. I put in for the gold hoe upgrade, then got some cookies from Evelyn as Harvey and George were doing a little bit of preventative medicine. I made sure to get some more melon seeds from Pierre's before he closed for the day, and got those planted in the mega crop field before collecting a whole bunch of strawberry wine from my kegs. Today's birthday boy is Alex, so I gave him some Star Drop tea, and then ran into Willie and his massive ball of bug guts. To thank me for his new friend, I got a recipe for the quality bobber. I spent the evening by having a cold one with my pal Shane down by the lake, and hitting up the final path cave to get my first mastered skill, combat. I finished off day 153 by smelting some quartz and watching some money roll into my bank account, mostly due to the 21,000 G in wine sales. The Queen of Sauce is back on the airways to start day 154 with a maple bar recipe. I'm trying to be super efficient this morning as I have a whole bunch of smelted bars to collect, then my first round of blueberries for the season already. I need to get these harvested as fast as possible, because today is the day I make it to floor 100 of the Skull Cavern. I get all my jade and bombs ready to go, and make my way to the Calico Desert. Today is a Sunday, so the desert trader will exchange 1 jade for 1 staircase. So I get 54 staircases and hit the caverns. I'm only showing the highlights here since it took basically all day, but I got some iridium bars and a lucky floor, then some cherry bombs, and the piece de resistance is my first ever trinket, a heavy magic quiver. This is a new type of item that I can get for mastering combat, and it can be equipped on my person to give me some assistance. This specific trinket fires a magic arrow periodically at enemies, so that's pretty sick. Back to the lucky floors though. I got some radish seeds, some quality sprinklers, more bombs, and I used the final 3 staircases I had to make it down to floor 100, where Mr. Key was waiting for me. Somehow he knew I used staircases, but I don't care that it wasn't honorable. Just give me the juice, sir. Whatever this concoction is gave me a permanent increase to my health, and I decided to continue down into the cavern. I finished the day by completing the slime monster slayer goal, and I managed to make it all the way down to floor 120 before calling it a session. Another new 1.6 edition rears its very ugly head on day 155, the Green Rain. This is, in my opinion, a not so fun new weather event that makes trees grow faster and covers the map with moss. I chose to somewhat ignore it and get on with my day by accepting a quest from Kent for 1 starfruit, then making sure all my crops and animals were okay with the green tinge in the air. I will say that the greenhouse really is a greenhouse during this event though. I accepted Gus's famous omelet quest, and then went to Clint's to pick up my golden hoe. Obviously, I'm going to upgrade that to iridium post-haste, then collect my strawberry wine from the quarry kegs. Remember that Monster Slayer goal I accomplished yesterday? Well, I finally picked up my reward for that, the Slime Charmer ring. That's 5 out of 12 goals complete, baby. On my way to 𝐅𝐸𝐿, I finally had enough hardwood to fix up the stump by the traveling merchant cart, and now it's ready to be moved into by some hobbits or something. I got myself some oak resin at the train station and crafted 15 more kegs to place in the quarry. All these kegs makes me super excited for when my ancient fruit farm gets off the ground. I ended day 155 by throwing another sturgeon in the pond and checking out this spooky end screen. All that already more I got 2 days ago has been smelted down on day 156. I say hello to my cows before harvesting some ancient fruit in the greenhouse, and all that green yesterday sped up the growth of a whole bunch of trees. So I made some more tappers to increase my oak resin capacity and got those put on trees in the train station. Then it's over to the Calico Desert to purchase some beet seeds from Sandy for the key questline. More kegs means I'm gonna need more wood. So I spent the remainder of this day chopping down trees and replanting the pine cones at the tree farm. I start off day 157 by getting those beet seeds I purchased yesterday planted in the greenhouse, then dumped a whole bunch of melons into the kegs to start making some melon wine. Now, of course, I'm not going to forget about the kegs in the quarry. That would be just ridiculous. Today, I got the cutscene that explains why Pikachu was campaigning for Alex to be the romance partner of his playthrough in the comments of my last video. His dad really does sound like a major dick, and my heart does go out to the guy for all that bullshit he had to endure in his life. On a happier note, today is Sam's birthday, so I gave him a cactus after consulting my secret note, and adding Sam to my list of friends got me a new achievement, networking. As I was walking over to give 𝐅𝐸𝐿 another gift, I ran into her and Leah having a chat. Turns out, 𝐅𝐸𝐿 is attempting to understand the language of humans. It needs to practice, so of course I'm going to volunteer to spend more time with her, teaching her the ways of the common folk. You don't have to ask me twice to spend some alone time with an attractive witch. Nice. While we were chatting, I noticed this sign revealing another new addition to Stardew Valley with the 1.6 update, the Trout Derby, which will be held this weekend. Putting my excitement for fishing to the wayside, I found a little raccoon boy has taken residence in the stump I hollowed out. It looks like he needs some food, so I'll get to that later. What's important now is upgrading my watering can. I spent the rest of the day doing a super casual run in the Skull Cavern, but I did manage to find a new trinket, a fairy box. This trinket might be my favorite out of all the ones you can get, as it gives you some passive healing when in combat, but more importantly, you get a little fairy friend to hang out with you. As always, I end the day by counting how much money I made to go to sleep. Speaking of money, day 158 begins by collecting a butt ton of blueberries. They should really call them green berries with how lucrative they are. I then decided it was time to really commit to the Ginger Island farm. I got all suited and booted with seeds, wood, stone, and all kinds of resources, and made my way to the island, where a bird dropped a topaz out of its butt for me. Then the landscaping commenced. I got a whole bunch of ancient and starfruit seeds planted with iridium sprinklers. I put up the beginnings of what will become a massive fenced-in farm with a stone walkway, and even put in a mini shipping bin and a couple of chests for storage. It'll be quite a sight to behold when it all comes together. I decided to do a run in the dungeon and test out my new napalm ring, which honestly might be my new favorite thing. Fighting enemies is just so much more fun when they blow up after. I also found another journal scrap that details what every weapon and tool enchantment does, which will come in handy later down the line. I completely forgot that my dumb ass doesn't have a watering can since it's in the shop getting upgraded. So I just used a shortcut to head up to the forge and combine my iridium band and napalm ring to create, in my opinion, the best ring in the game. I found another journal scrap, which was talking about some nonsense about a mermaid song, but that's probably the mermaid puzzle that 𝐿McNeely mentioned in my last video. Since I couldn't go deeper into the dungeon, I decided to do some exploration and found a couple golden walnuts on the west side of the island that I missed before. I then exchanged some of those to open up a path to the dig site area. I spent much longer than I care to admit trying to break this rock, but I guess you need a bomb to open it, which I definitely didn't have on me. On the bright side, I found another golden walnut before calling it a day. It's been a while since I've been in the Batcave, so that's where I start on day 159. The sturgeon wanted a diamond, so I gave him one, and then I provided him a couple more friends, before running over to Clint's to collect my watering can. But of course, when something is ready, everyone's least favorite valley dweller is at the community center, twiddling his thumbs.
Why you bullying me?
Putting my anger aside, I've been wanting to upgrade the barn for a while, and decided today was the day to pull the trigger on that investment. I then gave Demetrius a universally loved rabbit's foot for his birthday, and now he's my new best friend. Since I couldn't do a volcano dungeon run without my watering can, I decided to musk up and do some dust sprite farming to show you all the true power of the napalm ring. Isn't it beautiful? Doesn't it just make you feel all warm and fuzzy? Anyways, I also managed to get another trinket today, the ice rod. Personally, I think this effect is kind of boring, but it's decent for crowd control, I guess. It wasn't a bad day of monster farming. I only have 98 more dust sprites to go. Day 160 begins by collecting a recipe for Autumn's Bounty in the mailbox, then hitting up the coop and picking up some eggs, which I finally got enough of for Gus's omelet quest. Today is the beginning of the Trout Derby, so I made myself a deluxe worm bin along with a bait maker. I threw in some rainbow trout that I had stored from last year and started making some rainbow trout bait, which will be absolutely perfect. Finally, Clint is actually working, so I can collect my watering can and submit it for an iron upgrade. I ran by Gus's saloon and dropped off 2 dozen eggs into his fridge, and then ran down to the forest for the Trout Derby. The rules are pretty simple. Catch rainbow trout, hope they have a golden tag, redeem golden tags for rewards. I spent all of day 160 fishing for trout until I had about 10 golden tags, and then I redeemed them all. The rewards were okay. Definitely not worth spending an entire day on it, but I was able to catch a lot of fish that I could sell for some money. The Queen of Sauce took Haley's request for a pink cake recipe on day 161, so now I can make that for her birthday next year. Also, Gus is helping me out with my future recipe list by gifting me a mini fridge. Mayor Lewis needs truffle oil, but more importantly, my sturgeon finally gave me some eggs that I can put in the preserves jar to make into caviar. I get some beets cultivated in the greenhouse, but I have to wait on 2 more to grow before I can complete Key's quest, and then I run into Demetrius and Robin having a domestic about whether tomato is a fruit or vegetable. I say it's a vegetable because I don't want to get on Robin's bad side. After all, I am asking her to build me a deluxe barn. I went to Marnie's to buy some animals, but found this animal catalog to be much more enticing. With this, I can order animals or buy supplies from a store whenever I want. So of course I read it and then do what I actually came here to accomplish. Buying a goat. The only possible name for this little girl is 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝗵𝗄. Then it's over to the Calico Desert. Since I finished the minerals, I gotta get started on the artifact collection by purchasing some artifact troves. I spent the entire rest of this day chopping down trees and repopulating the sand with more pine cones. Day 162 is special, and I'll let LiveJack explain why. Dumbass alert, hello, it's me, the dumbass man. I completely forgot to record day 22. The big thing is I got the burglar's ring. I was finally able to kill all the dust sprites I needed. As you can see, it's 11:40. Not much else happened today. Did I sell off blueberries? I don't know. I might have sold off blueberries. I might not have. All I know is that I got the burglar's ring, huge, big W, and I completed a quest for Emily to give her a bunch of rocks or something. And that's about it. That's all that happened today. That's a straight up lie. A lot more stuff happened, but I'll let you know when it comes up. Anyways, day 163 begins in the mailbox as Pierre lets me know that I can now buy a bouquet. Probably because completing that aforementioned Emily quest got her up to 8 hearts. Emily also gave me a sewing machine. How that fits in my mailbox, I have no clue. Emily just really has a lot to tell me today, as she is putting on some clothing therapy soon. I collect my haul of bars I got from a little off-screen mining, and here I can show you something you didn't see yesterday. I got another level of mastery. Wish I was smart enough to record that. Anyways, I got some ancient fruits harvested, then ran to Marnie's to utilize my animal catalog skill book to purchase some new animals. One of which being a sheep. That's right, I can buy sheep and pigs now, cause Robin completed my deluxe barn yesterday, which you didn't see. I named the sheep Pistachio, and the pig that I got, I named Sir Oinker III, as is customary. I got myself a prize ticket for completing Emily's rock rejuvenation request, and finally got the cutscene that explains why everyone in the Stardew fandom hates Clint. I get it now, everyone. The beret really sells the incel look. I exchanged my prize ticket for a new 1.6 item, 4 mushroom logs, and finally completed another leg of Key's questline by putting the 10 beets in the mayor's fridge, only for Key to give me another thing I have to do. I also got further confirmation that Marnie and Lewis are smashing on the down low. I then put a rusty spur into the museum and collected some oak resin by the train station before giving my sturgeon some maple syrup. All those melons I dumped in a week ago have finally fermented into some delicious melon wine, so I get all that collected and decided to move my entire kegging operation to the quarry. Now I have one place with over 75 kegs that is just filled to the brim with money-making potential. While I was fishing looking for more sturgeon, I got myself a treasure chest with a golden animal cracker. A lot of you may be wondering, what is that? What does it do? Why am I just seeing this now? Well, remember when I said that 𝐿iveJack lied about everything he did that day? Well, he also forgot to mention he claimed the farming mastery path, and got an iridium scythe, and the ability to get these animal crackers that double animal produce. What an idiot. As the day ends and the wine money comes in, don't blame me. This is all on 𝐿iveJack. Speaking of 𝐿iveJack, let's hear from that idiot again. Oh my god, I'm the biggest idiot ever. I forgot to record another day. I'm so sorry. What I did today is I went to Ginger Island and I combined my luck ring and my burglar's ring to make this thing. I found the ostrich egg. Here, I'll show. There's a note that says go here and and dig here, and I found the ostrich egg. So there's that. So I really just did kind of a run in the volcano thing. I found warp totem. Oh, and I also had enough diamonds to get the diamond hunter book from the dwarf on the 5th level of the volcano mine. Trying to think if I did anything else. Oh, I gave Thumper the little cracker that I found yesterday. I just opened up this cave area, so I guess I'm gonna grab these guys. And I freed that guy. It's 11:20, so I'm going to head over to the farm over here and plant some stuff, and then I'm going to go home. And that's what I did. I utilized the golden watering can, which 𝐿iveJack also conveniently forgot to mention I picked up today, to water some more ancient fruit seeds at the Ginger Island farm. I then utilized a farm warp totem to go home and end day 164. To start day 165, I picked up an escargot recipe from Willie in the mail, and I utilized my brand new iridium scythe to harvest all these delicious melons. After that, I say hello to the newest animals on the farm for the first time, and much like the first time I tried to fertilize eggs, my dumbass spent way too much of the day trying to get that ostrich egg to work in the chicken coop. I put in the upgrade for the iridium watering can, and then started working on replacing my quality sprinklers with iridium sprinklers in the mega field. Doing this will eventually add an additional 31 spaces for crops, which is pretty exciting even if it might look a little stupid. And that's all I did today that was notable. I start day 166 by harvesting my final crop of blueberries for the summer season, and I get them sold away, before heading over to Ginger Island and gifting Leo with another universally loved gift, a pearl. I then got a really sad cutscene with our favorite bird boy. I just want to pick him up, give him a hug, and introduce him to Jas and Vincent. I spent the afternoon on the island farm continuing to do some landscaping with stone paths and fencing, and then I officially met Professor Snail for the first time, who has tasked me with finding some bones and petrified objects, the first of which I find doing some tilling at the artifact spots. I took that snake skull and dropped it off with him, and then I go back to Pelican Town and purchase a lucky lunch from the traveling merchant. I finally remember to drop off the 5 gold ancient fruits and caviar at the old JojaMart and decided to call it a day there, as I watched the blueberry money roll in. As the clock ticked over to day 167, I got bombarded with information, most important of which is that I am now a millionaire. I pick up my iridium watering can and expand my kegging enterprise by making half a dozen more kegs and getting them placed in the quarry with their siblings. For the missing bundle, I need a void salmon. I looked for it near Krobus's lair and found a slime jack, and the only other weird place I could think to fish was near the witch's hut. And that's where I found a gold void salmon on my first cast, so that's pretty convenient. I then went to drop it off with all the other rare and exotic items and completed the missing bundle. Now this little 𝐻𝐿 can make its way back to be with his family. I then got another cutscene down at the beach. Willie needed some help corralling and collecting some crabs, so Gus and I gave him a hand. I then got my favorite skill book in the game by digging up an artifact spot. Jack be nimble, Jack be thick. The +1 boost to defense is nice, but for the name alone, this is the best book in the game. I spent the rest of the day farming for copper ore since I'm using so much of it to make kegs. And as I slept, the Junimo babies fixed up the JojaMart. I spent all of day 168 in the Skull Cavern, just getting as deep as I could. And here's my haul for the day. I even got a couple new trinkets, one of which gives you a little frog friend. But as it's the last day of summer, you all know what actually matters today: the moonlight jellies. Use this as your daily relax moment. Day 169, the first day of autumn, begins in the mega crop field, finishing up the replacement of quality sprinklers with iridium sprinklers. I clean out the bat cave of all the fruits, then spend the morning preparing the crop fields with my iridium hoe. I stop by Pierre's to pick up 500 pumpkin seeds, then accept Linus's community cleanup quest. The remainder of this day is spent planting 475 pumpkin seeds and getting them all moist before hitting the hay. Penny's birthday headlines day 170. So I grab an emerald from my gem chest following advice from the secret note, then harvest some ancient fruit in the greenhouse. Penny is doing some tutoring in the library today, and this girl really is affection starved if a birthday present elicits this reaction. After tutoring, I guess Penny assists the elderly as I run into her and George getting into a disagreement about her helping him get his mail, and it looks like the old JojaMart has been turned into a movie theater thanks to my donations. But it would appear that going into the cinema is just as expensive as real life. Back on the farm, I get a baker's dozen of kegs crafted, then it's over to the quarry to get those put in place. A whole bunch of melon wine is ready to be collected, and then I get another batch going before spending the evening fishing up trash on my farm to complete Linus's quest. I pick up some oak resin by the train tracks and dump off all those recyclable materials and collect my 500G. More important than the money is the prize ticket, which I instantly redeem for a pomegranate sapling. And then I finish the day off by watching the money roll in. My sturgeon have a quest for me to start day 171. It looks like they need 3 Omni Geodes. So I get both of my cows milked, drop off those geodes in the water, and then spend the morning moving my final 2 chests over to the workbench since some of the crafting recipes require feathers, wool, and other animal produce. This mystery box smashing session wasn't as fruitful as I hoped it would be, but at least I got this swanky hat out of it. I caught Linus enjoying a soak in the lake, and then finally purchased a dresser, so that I could put all my collected hats, shirts, pants, and rings into it instead of a chest. I spent the rest of the day in the early floors of the mines, copper farming, and looking for duggies and rock crabs to kill. I did manage to find a rock crab, and dispatching it accomplished a monster eradication goal, and my reward for that is the crab shell ring that provides a passive +5 defense.
We do not care.
The morning of day 172 is spent in the greenhouse, collecting some sweet gem berries, planting some ancient fruit seeds, and laying down some speed grow before hitting up Clint's to start upgrading my trash can. Then it was monster killing time, so I mussed up and hit the mines, where I finally killed the last Dougie I needed to accomplish that monster slayer goal. Then I foolishly spent time on the 30th floor killing these monsters because I thought they were void spirits. It wasn't a total loss though, as I managed to pick up a perfect magic quiver to replace my heavy one. I went and picked up my hard hat from Gil, then got into the correct floors and started down the path of killing void spirits to finish the day. The traveling merchant is in town on day 173, but she doesn't have anything super useful, so it's over to Rasmodia's tower to give her a void essence that got her to 8 hearts. Seems like she's been having some trouble sleeping, so I watch over her and make sure that she gets some rest. Today's Elliot's birthday, so I ran into him at his house to tend to his flowers, and then the secret note I acquired said that he really likes pomegranate, so I ran back home and grabbed one and gave it to him for his present. I decided that today was the day I was going to catch the legendary fish for the fall season. So I hit up the library where it said the anglerfish is north of town where the river flows down from the mountains. And this spot with the waterfall seemed like the best bet. He definitely put up a fight, but I shop at Bass Pro Shops, so it was never really a fair bout. I then musked up and hit up the mines to kill more void spirits. I'm about halfway through completing this task, but I also managed to get a 3rd dwarf scroll that my lava eels have been asking for to finish the day off. I start day 174 by accepting a quest for a lobster from Gus. Then it's over to the greenhouse to collect the final gem berry and replace it with an ancient fruit seed. I now have an entire 116 squares worth of ancient fruit brimming with money-making potential. Today was another monster killing day. Although I didn't manage to kill all the void spirits I needed, I did find myself a golden animal cracker and I leveled up another path of mastery. I only have 12 more void spirits to kill, and I finally got a strange bond to see what this little shrine does. Turns out it adds monsters to your farm, which is a pretty neat discovery to end the day. I learned how to make a fruit salad yummy, yummy, to start day 175. Then it's over to my furnaces, where I have plenty of iron and copper ores that need to be melted down for future kegs. Since I got that animal cracker yesterday, I decided to get another rabbit for the potential of double rabbit's feet. This little guy will be named Jumper. The traveling merchant had some pumpkin soup today, so you know I'm picking that up. Then I made 15 kegs before stopping by Clint's to pick up my copper trash can, bust open a bunch of artifact troves and mystery boxes, and then put in for the steel trash can upgrade. The museum gets itself an anchor, and then it's up to the quarry to expand my keg empire. I gave Jumper the golden animal cracker, then mussed up to finish up the void spirit monster eradication goal. I only had a dozen to go, so it was pretty easy. My reward for this goal was the Savage Ring. I now only have mummies, pepperexes, and magma sprites left to go. Back on the farm, I finally crafted a couple mini obelisks. I'm sure a lot of you place yours in the north and south entrances of your farms, and I'm no different. To finish off the day, I hit up the final path cave and grabbed Mining Mastery, which gave me a couple dope recipes, including this one, the statue of the Dwarf King, which is high on my list of crafts. Sir 𝐲𝐿𝐴 III dug up my first ever truffle on day 176, but since I don't have enough hardwood to make the oil maker, it's over to the secret woods to chop some stumps. I craft that oil maker and get it plopped down next to the barn and started on some truffle oil. It's been a while since I've been to the desert, so I take the bus trip over and do a little skull cavern run, where I made it all the way down to floor 71 without using staircases, so I think that's pretty impressive. I didn't kill enough mummies for the eradication goal today, but I did manage to pick up a lot of Omni-Geos to exchange for artifact troves. I ended the day by starting the smelt of my haul of iridium ore. Mayor Lewis sent me some mail on day 177 to remind me that the Stardew Valley Fair is quickly approaching. But the most important thing today is that my truffle oil is ready, and I can finally complete that quest Lewis gave me so many days ago. I collected my iron trash can, then contracted Clint out to break open all of my collected mystery boxes and artifact troves. I didn't have that many artifacts to give Gunther, but the museum is coming along nicely. The bookseller was in town today, but the trades he had on offer were pretty underwhelming, so I just read all the books I had for the Mastery XP. For those that are curious, here is a look at all the special powers I've amassed so far. I did pick up the prize catalog and Horse the book for a steep 28,000 G, but I want to get all the special powers, so I might as well bite the bullet now. After reading those books, I found Lewis and gave him the truffle oil I made this morning, and then put in for the gold trash can upgrade with Clint. I spent the afternoon back on the farm applying some deluxe speed grow and collecting some ancient fruit, before crafting even more kegs at the workbench. You'd think at some point I'd be satisfied with the amount of kegs and wine I'm producing, but capitalism is a seductive mistress, and day by day I find myself weak at the knees in search of more and more money. So of course, I keep kegging. The Skull Cavern run yesterday gave me enough iridium bars to craft the statue of the Dwarf King. So I placed that right next to my bed and take my first ever daily buff, even though I have no plans to mine today. I finished the day off by collecting some oak resin at the train station, spending even more money by buying the Galaxy Hammer, and then watching all that money come back to me overnight thanks to the power of wine. Ginger Island has been on the back burner, so I decided to take day 178 and make it an island day. I collected some star fruits that netted me a golden walnut, and replaced that plot with the ancient fruit seeds. I provided Professor Snail with a mummified frog and bat, and he rewarded me with 2 more golden walnuts, and then it was over to the volcano dungeon to find some dragon teeth. This little explodey boy gave me a golden walnut, and I finally purchased the island warp totem recipe from the floor 5 dwarf merchant. I got a walnut by mining out this rock, and then saw this treasure chest that I needed to open. Shout out to the iridium watering can. This golden walnut would be impossible without you. I finished up the day by using my iridium hoe to cast a wide net for any walnuts I may have missed, and found one at the base of the volcano. Day 179 is Jodi's birthday, and the secret note says that she likes pancakes. So I grabbed some from the fridge, give her husband Kent a star fruit that I harvested yesterday to complete his quest, then run into Sam and Sebastian in the middle of a jam sesh. Sam asked me what type of music I think their band should make, and it tickled me thinking of Sebastian having to play cheerful pop music, so I selected that option, which Sam doesn't seem to have a problem with. Speaking of problems and Sam, my dude has butterfingers and dropped an egg on the floor, but of course, I'm gonna cover for my mans with his mom. And now I can finally give Jodi her birthday present, which is what I came here to do. Then it's off to Clint's to collect my golden trash can. The monsters on my farm were getting annoying, so I offered another strange bun to turn them off, and then hopped on the first bus out to Calico Desert for a Skull Cavern run. I got some spicy eel on a treasure floor, then managed to dispatch a couple of mummies to complete another Monster Slayer goal. I finished this run off on another lucky floor and collecting 3 iridium bars, and then ran over to Gil to get my reward, a hat. At least now I only have 65 more monsters to be done with these eradication goals. A long day came to an end, but during the night, Beppis gave birth to another goat, and Jeremy is welcome to the team. Jodi thanked me for my kindness in remembering her birthday with the ice cream recipe to start day 180. I make sure to get all my smelted iridium and iron bars collected, then it's over to the traveling merchant to purchase a lucky lunch. I decided that today was the day I commit to Rasmodia, so I bought myself a bouquet and ran up to her tower to give it to her. It's safe to say that she wasn't expecting it, but what can I say? Autumn is cuffing season, baby.
What do you mean by that?
I spent that afternoon doing some iron farming, utilizing the amazing power of the napalm ring to mine with the sword instead of swinging my pickaxe around. I utilized a totem to make my way to Ginger Island, and spent some time at the dig site, cracking open all of these little bone fragment stones. Once they were cleared, I got my iridium hoe out and did some tilling looking for golden walnuts, but no dice. I did find one up on this little plateau though. How I didn't notice this little circle thing the first time is beyond me. I gave Professor Snail some leg fossils, then exchanged some of my golden walnuts to unlock the Parrot Travel Service. If I knew that this was what I was unlocking, I probably would have saved my walnuts and bought the farmhouse upgrade instead, but I did get 1 walnut back by killing the slime before having to call it quits for the day. Abigail's birthday is the headliner of day 181, so I'm checking out the secret note of her diary to find the perfect gift for which I already have some, spicy eel. 2 rabbit's feet were waiting for me in the coop this morning, and another truffle was in the barn pasture. The iridium trash can is on its way, and then it's over to the general store to give Abigail her birthday present. I made my way to Calico Desert to do another Skull Cavern run, where I got a lucky floor and found another hat. After killing this Pepper Rex, I made it to floor 100, where I got a red slime egg. I went a little deeper in the mines, but had to go home at some point eventually. I start off day 182 with the Queen of Sauce on the TV as I pick up the blackberry cobbler recipe. Then it's over to the mega field as my pumpkins have finally grown in. Even with the iridium scythe, 475 crops takes a lot of time to harvest. Also, I've never gotten a huge crop before, so I didn't know I needed my axe to take down this massive gourd. A neat recipe you can make after getting combat mastery is the mini forge, which allows you to forge items in the comfort of your own home. I get that crafted and start doing some enchanting, starting with my pickaxe, which got the efficient perk. My regular axe was next to get an enchantment, to which it got the shaving perk. The wine grind doesn't stop, so I made some more kegs and got them placed in the quarry. Then purchased 450 more pumpkin seeds from Pierre. Since I over-purchased in the first of the year, I have the perfect amount of seeds to fill up the entire mega crop field with another round of delicious pumpkins. I spent the afternoon collecting all of my iridium bars that have been recently smelted, then expanded my furnace area a little bit and started smelting more iron. I was flipping through the workbench and thought, why not craft some more tea saplings? So I made the necessary garden pots and plants and got them set up in the greenhouse. I spent the evening doing more iron farming in the mines, where I reached another mastery level. But it looks like the final level is going to take a lot of work. As I was running through town to get to the final path cave, I ran into Abigail doing some weird sword training in the cemetery. Why she needs to know swordplay is beyond me. It really does look like she's up to no good though. I finished up this day in the final path cave, where I decided to take the foraging mastery, enabling the discovery of golden mystery boxes and a couple fun recipes. Before we make one of those recipes, Mayor Lewis sent another reminder mail about the festival tomorrow. But now we can start day 183 in style by crafting a couple mystic tree seeds and getting them placed near the farm lake. Now that I have the mining mastery, I decided to redo my smelting operation. Not only because I have a plan for this area that doesn't include these machines, but also because I can now make heavy furnaces that not only require 25 bars, but have the possibility to give 6 bars instead of 5. I get those placed where my old keg farm used to be, then run over to Clint's to grab my iridium trash can. Now if I ever need to discard an item, I can reclaim 60% of its sell price instead of just trashing it. I made my way over to Robin's to start construction on a slime hutch, which gets placed right next to my greenhouse. I get my butt on the bus to go to the desert for 2 reasons. The first is getting the desert warp totem recipe, and the other is to give Sandy a birthday gift. While I'm here, I might as well do some tree chopping since I'm gonna need the wood for more kegs, and that's where I finished the day. I just chopped all these pine trees long into the night. Day 184 begins in the quarry. Today is the Stardew Valley Fair, so I spent the morning collecting all the wine that was ready, and then dropped in a whole bunch of pumpkins from the first harvest of this year to turn into pumpkin juice. Then it's over to the town square for the Stardew Valley Fair, where I get my stall stocked with the rarest, most expensive items I've collected so far. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that I'm gonna win, but really only 96 points? Can you even get 100? I guess I got an achievement out of it, so that's nice. The 1,000 stars I got for getting first place netted me with a prize ticket, which will definitely come in handy soon. I hit the sack for the day, and as you can see, it was a pretty good one. I'm in the barn pasture to start day 185, petting some large animals and collecting a truffle. In the greenhouse, a whole bunch of ancient fruit is ready for harvest, so I get those scythed down, then decide today is a Ginger Island day by making some iridium sprinklers and utilizing a island warp totem. I took all my seed makers with me and plopped them down at the island farm, and started my expansion efforts. Obviously, the iridium sprinklers get placed down to measure the space, and then it's time to do some extra fast farming. I utilize my hoe to till all the necessary squares, then start running between the seed makers and the field to plant and water a whole bunch of ancient fruit seeds until I had 192 in the ground. You'd think I would have tried to use the watering can to explore more of the volcano dungeon by this point, right? Wrong. I finally picked up these 2 walnuts that looked absolutely impossible to get to by just using a little bit more brain power. I spent the remainder of what was left in the day by killing magma slimes, where I picked up this new neat trinket, the golden spur. But eventually I had to call it a day and warp back to my farm. Marlin dropped off a green slime egg to start off day 186, so I crafted a couple more slime incubators and plopped them into my newly built slime hutch. Of course, I populated them with a couple slime eggs I've found, but I honestly don't know what to do with this building. I just made it because it looks fun and because I can. Over at the mayor's house, I exchanged that prize ticket from the fair for a new skill book, Friendship 101, that will make it easier to become friends with people. Speaking of friendship, it's my friend Marnie's birthday, so I gave her a rabbit's foot, then purchased 2 movie tickets to go on a proper date with Rasmodia. We make our way to the cinema, and I got on the crane game to get a little Junimo plushie, but I couldn't give it to her as like a gift, which is kind of sad, but you know, at least I had some Stardrop sorbet as a snack option. So you know I'm shelling out tonight. Rasmodi and I had a great time watching the movie, and I finished the day doing some iron farming where I got my first ever golden mystery box. My mailbox is bursting the morning of day 187. Marnie sent me the rhubarb pie recipe, and Rasmodia sent me some mail about meeting her in the secret woods. So I ran into her there, and the untold wonder and strange energy she mentioned is revealed to be that she has been enchanted by my farmer skills and seductive abilities. Of course, I feel the same way, but she's not fazed by that. She knew it all along. Back on the farm, I make a dozen more kegs, upping my capacity to a total of 160, and get all of those plopped down in the quarry. I took the bus to the desert and decided to do a Skull Cavern run, where my main goal was to complete the Pepper Rex eradication, which I successfully accomplished. I got myself a white turban on a lucky floor, then finished the day by hightailing it back to Pelican Town to collect my Knight's Helmet reward, and check out all the progress I've made on the Monster Slayer goals. Only 50 more Magma Sprites left to go. Day 188 begins in the Slime Hutch, by starting the incubation process of a purple slime. A ludicrous 3 truffles were dug up by Sir Oinker III today, and my pumpkin juice is ready for collection. With all these kegs, it takes quite a while to get them emptied and repopulated, so I sped that part up for you. Then it's over to Ginger Island, where some ancient fruits are ready for harvest. I used my hoe to dig up a snake vertebrae along with a collared shirt, and got that hand-delivered to Professor Snail. The vertebrae, not the shirt, he's dripping. I spent the remainder of the day in the volcano dungeon farming magma sprites, and using them as improvised bombs to mine cinder shards. While I slept soundly, the money fairy deposited 155,000 G into my bank account. Crab cakes are the recipe of choice from the Queen of Sauce to start day 189. Then it's over to the fish pond, where my lava eels want some mega bombs and the sturgeon wants a helix fossil thingy. The traveling merchant had some pumpkin soup, so that's getting got. Then I went over to the sailorman at the tide pools and picked up a mermaid's pendant. A huge shout out to Restive Aura in the comments of my last video for letting me know what this guy here does. I gave Rasmodia the pendant, and we are officially engaged with 3 days between now and our wedding ceremony. Love is a beautiful thing, isn't it? But oak resin is equally as beautiful, as it allows me to make more kegs. And speaking of beauty, our runner-up in the marriage poll, Robin, is the perfect picture of it, as I gift her a rabbit's foot for her birthday. Then it's over to Ginger Island on Woody's sailboat. After trying every tool I had, a charged up watering can shot managed to spook this green worm guy into finally giving me a golden walnut. I then spent a good amount of the day really investigating the ground looking for spots where a walnut could be hiding. And I found 2. I then had a chat with Leo and his bird, who said to look for the hidden shrine in the rainforest. I honestly thought that this tree was a hidden entrance to the aforementioned shrine, and got a walnut by chopping into it. Speaking of hidden entrances, while I was looking around for more walnuts, I discovered this hidden entrance to 2 more walnuts by the dig site. I found another walnut in the spot over here, and now that I know that there's hidden entrances everywhere on this island, I hugged the edges of the map hoping to get stuck on things, and I did, leading to yet another golden walnut spot. As I was cutting down trees to get wood for some more fences, I found this grass arrangement that absolutely must have a golden walnut under it. As I was still sticking towards the edge of the maps, I found another secret entrance by the Parrot taxi service near the farm that led me up this invisible road to yet another walnut. While digging up an artifact spot at the beach, I found the fossilized ribs that I needed to give to Professor Snail, and then I ran back home and got into bed just before 2 a.m. Thanks to that birthday gift, Robin taught me how to make pumpkin soup to start day 190. I gave the lava eels their bombs, and it's right back to Ginger Island, baby. Today, I actually found the hidden shrine that Leo mentioned yesterday. It's got 4 pedestals under some sunlight, and the little tiki statue says that I need to seek out the fabled gem birds. Now, I know the topaz is south, the emerald is west, and the aquamarine is north from my previous experiences, so I'll have to come back another day with other gems to figure out what the east is. I grabbed the golden walnut at the south of the room, and then hit up the volcano dungeon, where I found myself a treasure chest with a protection ring in it. This ring grants a longer time of invincibility after taking damage. While fighting some magma sprites, I got another trinket, a basilisk paw, which makes me immune to debuffs. And I found yet another treasure chest in the dungeon that contained a deluxe pirate hat to finish off the day. I start off day 191 by grabbing all the potential gems I need for the jungle shrine before picking up Robin's hardwood quest. I made my way to Ginger Island, where a convenient gem bird dropped another topaz, which made this shrine like 1% easier. I added all the gems I knew for sure where they went, and threw an amethyst on the east pedestal, which turned out to be the right one. My reward was a solid 5 golden walnuts, and I found another walnut breaking open these muscle stones at the beach. I was killing some tiger slimes when one of these bad boys dropped 2 tiger slime eggs and a monster compendium, and I finally had enough walnuts to renovate the Ginger Island farmhouse. I looked around the beach and found another walnut in between a couple of yellow starfish, and then found this cave which led to a lair of a large frog who wants something that's pink and juicy. My gut said that this had to be melon, but that's for another day. More importantly was the volcano dungeon. I spent some time slaying magma sprites and finally completed the final monster slayer goal. Unfortunately, it was too late to go home on the ship, and I didn't have a farm warp totem handy, so I called it a night in my brand new bed in the island farmhouse. I kick off day 192 with my wedding. 𝐼𝐿 and I are now wed in not so holy matrimony, but there's no time for a honeymoon, as the farmer's life waits for no one. I need to get some grass growing in the barn pasture, and I need to hit up the quarry, as a whole bunch of pumpkin juice is ready for collection, and the kegs need to be replenished. I crafted a bunch more iridium sprinklers for the island farm, then ran over to the Adventurers Guild, where my reward for killing all those magma sprites is Marlin's phone number.
Okay.
Definitely not as big a W compared to the napalm ring, but hey, at least I don't have to worry about those goals anymore. After that, I booked a ticket back to Ginger Island, where I brought a peach, pomegranate, and melon to see if that's what the frog guy wanted. But apparently he doesn't want the fruit, so I turned the melon into seeds, but he really doesn't want that either. So I decided to cut my losses and focus on farming by placing down some iridium sprinklers and continuing to transform this island farm into something I can be proud of. This included doing some landscaping and the planting of a bunch more ancient fruit seeds. I spent the evening at the island farmhouse, so we pick up on day 193, continuing the landscaping efforts of the farm by adding more fencing. I make sure to plant as many ancient fruit seeds I can make into the ground and crack open a muscle stone to reveal another snake vertebrae. The last one I needed to give to Professor Snail to complete the entire snake fossil, to which I was rewarded a golden walnut and a mango sapling. I spent a lot of the day running around the island counting all the purple flowers, and the correct answer is 22. So I got more golden walnuts, taking my total to 5. I eventually took Willie's boat home to start my evening by crafting a couple more iridium sprinklers for the island farm, and then I broke out the mini forge and did some enchanting, starting with my hoe, which got the generous perk. According to the journal scrap I got a while back, this perk will dig up more from beneath the earth. I then went ahead and finished the day by enchanting my watering can, which got the reaching perk. I can now water crops in a 5x5 square. I start day 194 as I do every day now, talking to my wife 𝐼𝐿. Today she reminded me that tomorrow is the Halloween festival and she's making another maze for it. I start my day in earnest by making an island warp totem and purchasing a lucky lunch from the traveling merchant, before warping to the island after checking up on my kegs. With those iridium sprinklers I made yesterday, I am finally able to finish mapping out the Ginger Island farm, and get a whole bunch of additional ancient fruit seeds planted. I spent most of the day walking around Ginger Island, counting the pink starfish, of which I found 18, which of course is the right answer, rewarding me with another batch of golden walnuts. I spent what was left with my day in the volcano dungeon looking for more dragon teeth. Day 195 and the penultimate day of autumn begins by harvesting the last crop of pumpkins for the season. Sadly, there's no mega pumpkin to chop down this time around, but there was a meteor that hit my farmland to grab some iridium ore. I spent the morning smacking some hardwood to complete Robin's quest, but when I showed up to drop the wood off, she gave me a recipe for the flute block and the drum block. I was eventually able to give her the wood and got myself 2,000 G for my effort, but back on the farm I made 13 more kegs and got them placed in the quarry. I'm now up to 184 wine-producing little miracles. While I was just killing time waiting for the Halloween festival to start, I did some slime slaying, and one of them dropped a nice little golden animal cracker, which means I have another rabbit to buy. I got myself some more copper ore, and then finally made my way to the festival. I purchased the jack-o'-lantern recipe, then spent an embarrassingly long amount of time trying to figure out my wife's maze. I don't know if I'm just dumb, but I thought it was much harder than last year's. Anyways, my reward for enduring the suffering was a prize ticket. The final day of autumn, day 196, begins by watching the Queen of Sauce and picking up the fiddlehead risotto recipe. My first ever mystic tree has fully grown, so I throw a tapper on that and make even more kegs. Sir 𝐎𝐿𝐼𝐵 III unearths some more truffles to collect, and then it's over to the greenhouse to harvest my first full crop of ancient fruits. All of my pumpkin juice at the quarry fermented for the appropriate amount of days, so I get that collected, drop down some more kegs, and get all 192 filled up with pumpkins. Since I have that slime hutch now, I felt that it was time to combine the slime tremor ring and an iridium band, so I got those in the forge and got it crafted before running over to Clint's to break open some golden coconuts for the first time. I got myself a golden walnut and some iridium ores, so not too bad a return if you ask me. I picked up another prize ticket for completing Robin's quest and exchanged that along with another one I got from the maze to get some mega bombs and a sailor's cap. Another rabbit is needed on the farm because I got that animal cracker yesterday, so I named this little boy Crumper and gave him the delicious golden treat. I fashioned a desert warp totem and made my way to the skull cavern, where I got some mega bombs from a lucky floor and a prismatic shard from this serpent. I finally figured out that the dragon that the Keys quest was referencing is this dead one here. So I tried to feed him a bunch of stuff I found in the mines, and eventually, a solar essence was the item that did the trick. Key's message, following the completion of this leg of the quest, pointed me towards the pile of lumber next to my house, where the club card resided. And a perfect end to the last day of autumn is capped off by 169,000 G in pumpkin juice sales hitting my bank account. Day 197 and the first day of winter begins by tapping another mystic tree that has been fully grown. I then jump over to Clint's workshop to pound out some golden mystery boxes, and the haul wasn't too great today. So I get Robin's wood chopping quest accepted and give 𝐵𝐵𝐵 a delicious ancient fruit for their birthday. Then it's over to the Calico Desert, where I can utilize that club card I found to bypass the bouncer and enter Key's clubhouse. It really is more of a casino than a clubhouse, but it does have a machine that can tell you a whole bunch of stats, so that's neat. Of course, I bought some key coins and started doing a little bit of gambling, which really didn't go my way, especially with blackjack. I instead opted for the Calico spin machine and got triple melons, giving me enough key coins to purchase what I really wanted, the final rare crow I needed to complete the set. All that gambling stressed me out, so I decided to head to Ginger Island for some R&R by planting the final ancient seeds at the island farm, then doing a run in the volcano dungeon to get some dragon teeth and slay some monsters, hoping for more golden walnuts. I finally had enough cinder shards to purchase the Cinder Clown shoes, which were an instant equip, and then I finished the day off by enchanting my galaxy hammer with a diamond. To start off day 198, I got a whole lot of mail. Leo taught me how to make poi, 𝐵𝐵𝐵 taught me how to make a dark sign, and the ZC Rare Crow Society sent me the recipe for the deluxe scarecrow, for acquiring every single rare crow. Of course, I got that instantly crafted, and now my mega field is entirely covered by one single scarecrow, which will open up 3 more spaces for crops. I decided that today would be spent on Ginger Island, so I popped an island totem and started the day with some fishing, where I got a golden walnut, a pufferfish for Demetrius's quest, and a new fish, a lionfish. I then dug up a golden walnut from a space I definitely should have noticed before, and then culled some tiger slimes, one of which dropped me another golden animal cracker. I did some more fishing at the dig site, netting me a golden walnut, a fossilized spine, another golden walnut, and then a new fish, the blue discus. I dropped off that spine with Professor Snail, then did more fishing, this time on top of the volcano where I found the Physics 101 painting. I finished this day off by exchanging some golden walnuts to unlock the Island Trader Bird guy, who sells some pretty neat stuff, before putting up my new painting above my island bed and hitting the sack. I started day 199 back at the Island Trader to pick up a couple of golden coconuts, then utilized a farm warp totem to head back home. I got some more slimes incubating in the slime hutch, then gave birthday boy Linus a rabbit's foot, the last gift he needed to reach best friend status. My 2 best friends are now a witch and a homeless man, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I spent the afternoon collecting some oak resin by the train station and popping open those golden walnuts where I finally got the fossilized large animal skull. With that golden animal cracker I got yesterday, it was time to buy another rabbit, who I named 𝐺𝐵𝐵𝐵, then promptly gave him the golden treat. Down at the beach, I collected the nautilus shell my sturgeons have been asking for, then placed and populated some crab pots at the river to get more snails for the raccoon bundle. I got that nautilus shell tossed in the sturgeon pond, and then went to the library to find out how to catch the winter legendary fish. I spent all evening looking for that glacier fish, but could only catch a goby. But hey, that's a new fish in the 1.6 update, so I don't mind. I stumbled upon a romantic rendezvous between Marnie and Lewis, and promised to keep their dalliances a secret. I then finished this day by meeting up with Elliot at the saloon to drink some cold beverages, then watched from afar as some townspeople enjoyed an omelet made with my farm's eggs. I realized that on day 200 that the island that looks like an arrowhead is the Arrowhead Island that the book was referencing. Duh. So I fished at the southern tip like the book told me to, and I had the fight of my life. In terms of the minigame, the glacier fish might have been the most difficult catch so far, but at least I got her done. And then it's over to Calico Desert to purchase some artifact troves, and then do a little skull cavern dive. I found yet another golden animal cracker on a lucky floor, but the big moment today was killing the last baddie to reach the final level of mastery. I totally forgot to record getting the pumpkin juice for this day, but you can watch the money roll in at least. My wife sent me a letter on day 201 instead of just asking me for an iridium bar, so I start my day off by giving her that and collecting an easy 5000 G. I got yet another slime incubated, then ran over to Marnie's to purchase another rabbit named Clumper. Of course, little Clumper got his animal cracker, and then it's over to Ginger Island, baby. I harvested a whole bunch of ancient fruit and spent pretty much the entire day fishing in various locations hoping for a new fish, golden walnuts, or the final journal scrap I needed, but no dice. I got a pretty sick frog hat though, so it's not a total loss. I gave Professor Snail that fossilized skull, and then decided to call it a day. Unfortunately, dumbass Jack rears his ugly head again on day 202, where I completely forgot to press the record button. I can tell you I sold a treasure chest, and I was finally able to get the golden walnuts from this little sound puzzle thing. During this day, I also got the star drop for reaching 12.5 hearts with Rasmodia. More importantly though, I claimed the fishing mastery from the final path cave. As you can see, yesterday I also exchanged some golden walnuts for the island mailbox, where I got the notice of the ice festival for tomorrow. I started day 203 in earnest by noticing that there's a new parrot by my farmhouse, so I decided to reorganize the location of all these chests and seed makers so that I can have access to whatever this golden walnut upgrade is over here. After hugging the bounds of the map, I found another secret entrance that granted me access to this golden walnut by the volcano, and then I decided to head home to clean out my crab pots, where I got the lobster I needed for Gus's quest. I got more crab pots filled up by the river, and harvested the ripe ancient fruits in the greenhouse before collecting some mystic syrup on the farm. I then gave Caroline a rabbit's foot for her birthday, and I got the popular achievement. I now have 53% of all achievements in the game. But the grind doesn't stop, as Gus needs that lobster for his seafood boil mukbang. And then I finished the day by crafting some kegs, getting them placed in the quarry, taking my total over 200, and then watching some late night Queen of Sauce, acquiring the poppy seed muffin recipe. Caroline sent me a letter with the vegetable medley recipe to start off day 204, and then I start on my farm chores by collecting some mystic syrup and picking up fruit in the bat cave. Another round of pumpkin juice is ready for selling, and I finally have enough fruit to get my first ancient fruit wine kegging started. The traveling merchant is present at today's fishing event, so I purchased a pumpkin soup, then absolutely whack sharp on the fishing battlefield with 6 fish caught. I once again won this fishing competition, and my reward for destroying the hopes and dreams of my competitors was a prize ticket. And overnight, I became 200,000 G richer. I decided to start the Ginger Island Ladies quest on day 205 by giving Kent, the only soldier I know in town, the war memento. He gave me back some gourmet tomato salt, but I got distracted from this quest after learning that the Squid Fest was coming up. I probably should be getting prepared for that or continuing this quest line, but instead I decided to go to Ginger Island, where I found some golden coconuts and decided to reforge my galaxy hammer and get some great critical hit enhancements. I then decided to call it a day since I spent so much time going through the volcano dungeon. I started day 206 by doing some panning at the dig site, where I managed to find a fossilized tail on my second try. Someone in the comments should let me know how rare that is. Anyways, that was the last item I needed to finish up all the skeletons on Ginger Island, and I got a couple rewards, starting with the ostrich incubator recipe, and then I got another golden walnut and a banana sapling. I went ahead and placed the banana sapling near the river, and then ran back home so I could contact Clint to break open a bunch of mystery boxes and golden coconuts. I didn't get anything amazing though, so it's back to the farm to utilize my mini forge to enchant my advanced iridium rod to get the master perk. This perk increases my fishing level, which is pretty sweet. The bats were busy overnight, so I got the fruit picked up in the cave and ran over to the mountains to give Demetrius the pufferfish he requested so long ago. I got a cutscene with Gus and Pam where I had to break the news that the saloon was in financial trouble and our girl needed to pay her tab. Now I can do what I came here to do, give Gus the tomato salt. In return, he gave me a Stardew Valley rose. But once again, I got sidetracked and got myself a dehydrator from the prize ticket exchange thingy. I ran over to Haley's house to give her the rose, but she said she didn't want it and instead asked me to open a jar for her, which was easy enough. I mean, I'm a strong farmer, man. I guess she was getting ready for some crystal healing session with Caroline, Abigail, and Marnie. Anyways, I ran over to Evelyn to see if she wanted the rose, and she pointed me to Emily. In turn, Emily pointed me to a friend that lives far from here. I've often seen Emily with Sandy, so I pop a desert warp totem and give Sandy the rose. In return, I get a neato TV remote. My first thought was Pam, but she doesn't have the brain power to utilize all these buttons. So I spent the evening fishing up a bream and finished the day off by giving the snails I collected to the raccoon. Gus is at my front door the morning of day 207 with a mini jukebox in hand to give to me. Then it's over to Calico Desert to catch a scorpion carp, another pseudo-legendary fish. Just like the glacier fish, the scorpion carp gave me quite a run for my money. But I'm a master fisher and ended up catching it after a tough fight. Since Pam didn't want the TV remote, the only other person I could think of that would have use for it is George. He kindly took it off my hands and gave me an Arctic shard in return. Anything that's super otherworldly has to go to my wife, right? Right. A wriggling worm was my reward, and there is only one man in town who can use this worm, Willie. After giving our favorite fisherman the bait, I finally got the pirate's locket and rushed over to Ginger Island to give it to the old lady. But of course, it was a rainy day on the island and the lady was holed up in her shack. So I decided to cut my losses and go back to Pelican Town, where I caught some sea jelly for the first time and made a fish smoker. I took that bream I caught yesterday and got it all smoky, then donated it to the raccoon. That bundle netted me some powder melon seeds, so I thought why not get those planted and watered before ending the day by helping out my lava eels with an iridium bar and throwing another in the water. Day 208 begins at the coop, collecting double rabbit's feet. Then it's off to the beach for the Squid Fest, where essentially you win prizes for the amount of squid you catch, with 8 catches being the iridium prize. So I spent the afternoon catching 8 squid and collected my rewards, which was headlined by the Art o' Crabbing skill book. While I was exploring, I found this secret entrance between the movie theater and Clint's factory, but I couldn't collect, hack down, or get whatever was in here, and so a short day is ended by planting and watering a couple more powder melon seeds. Willie wrote me a letter on day 209 challenging me to catch a ling cod, but more importantly it's day 2 of the Squid Fest, so I pop a beach warp totem and catch the required 10 squid for the iridium prize today, which in all honesty wasn't too exciting compared to yesterday's. So I decided to run down to Ginger Island and complete Granny's questline by providing her with the pirate locket which belonged to her husband. Little old Granny was filled with so much gratitude she taught me how to make fairy dust, along with giving me a handful of golden walnuts. Now that that side quest is done, I decided to work on the frog side quest by planting some melons in an expanded section of the island farm along with some pineapples. I popped a farm warp totem to go home and then took the bus to the desert to chop away at some pine trees as I look to gather more resources for some kegs. Lobster bisque is the recipe on offer from the Queen of Sauce to start day 210. And then it's over to the mailbox, where I'm notified of the impending night market. I forgot to check the coop yesterday, so it's chock full of produce this morning. And then it's over to the greenhouse to collect some ancient fruit. After 210 days, I decided it's finally time to get a horse, and placed his stable in the most cookie-cutter place that everyone in the history of the world that has played Stardew Valley has put it. While I was at Robin's, I decided to pick up the telephone, a plasma TV, and all the recipes for the various braziers and flooring. Today is Harvey's birthday, so I gave him one of the rabbit's feet that I collected this morning, and then it's over to Ginger Island. I sided down some more wine ingredients, then slapped my axe at some Shelly stones revealing a golden walnut. I then went straight home, crafted half a dozen kegs, and spent the rest of the evening collecting my readied wine and repopulating the empty kegs with ancient fruit. Ooh, seeing all that money come in just feels so good. More Mystic Sap is ready for harvest to start day 211, and then I select my daily boon from the Dwarf King. A good luck day combined with that bonus from the statue is just begging for a dive into the Skull Cavern. So I get prepared with drinks and start making my way down. On floor 50, I got a good luck floor with a hat, but unfortunately my luck dried up as I only got one more lucky floor that contained a couple of iridium bars. I then sprinted over to the night market to grab a free coffee along with one of every single seed on offer. Now that I have access to the Ginger Island and a greenhouse, you never know when you'll need to grow something for a quest, so I'm playing it safe. My horse has finally arrived to start day 212. This noble steed shall bear the name Dash. Utilizing my slime charmer ring, I calmly collected enough hardwood to craft the ostrich incubator. Now I can finally get that ostrich egg that I found so long ago hatched. I collected some fruits in the bat cave, then took the bus down to the desert to purchase the necessary cactus fruits to craft my first ever obelisk, the desert obelisk. The textures are glitched for only this day, but I get them fixed, so no need to worry. Down at the night market, I grabbed one of every summer seed, then made my way over to the mermaid show, consulting my secret note to enter the correct combination to get a nice little pearl reward. I put a cap on day 212 in the submarine at the ocean floor, catching my first ever blobfish. My wife's birthday headlines day 213, as I give her the universally loved pearl as a gift. I then utilized my desert obelisk for the first time. With this seasonal buildings mod, the obelisk looks more like a teleportation shed, so I'm going to call them that. This first season was just to make sure it worked, so I head right back to Pelican Town and then hit up the coop for some eggs, feathers, and rabbit's feet. I used the telephone for the first time today. I called Clint to make sure that he was present before I ran down to crack open a handful of golden mystery boxes that didn't have anything fun in them. And I then spent the afternoon farming for copper and iron ore as I waited for the night market to open. Once it finally did, I ran down with Dash and collected Robin's Resource Rush quest, then bought one of every fall seed. The remainder of the day was spent at the ocean floor as I tried so hard to catch an octopus, but as soon as I got a bite, he was far too powerful for me. So I admitted defeat and took the submarine back up and ended the day in the comfort of my cat and wife. But before I could catch those Z's, Sir 𝐲𝐿𝐴 III gave birth, so obviously Sir 𝐲𝐿𝐴 IV was welcome to the family. Lewis is back in my inbox to start day 214 to let me know who my white elephant partner is this year. It's everyone's favorite green-haired mom, Caroline. I was running out of hay, so I spent some time this morning to cut some grass, and then continued the scything by harvesting some powder melons. I went ahead and crafted 19 more kegs, and got them placed with their brethren at the quarry. Then went to the desert to chop down a whole bunch of pine trees in order to complete Robin's Resource Rush quest. With that complete, I am now 2,500 G richer, and I decided today was going to be spent trying to catch some fish that I haven't gotten yet, starting with a stonefish that you can find on floor 20 of the mines. I essentially spent all day on floor 60 trying to catch an ice pip, but could only find algae and ghostfish. So that evening, I finished the day off by catching a midnight carp and the lingcod that Willie requested. On day 215, I got this stone chest recipe from Robin for completing that quest yesterday, and I also accepted a quest from Gus to get him a coconut. Most of this day was spent in the Skull Cavern, specifically looking for mummies. They're known to drop a curiosity lure, something I'm itching to get my hands on since catching that ice pip was so difficult. Unfortunately, all I could find were golden animal crackers, one from a drop, and another from a lucky floor, before I had to pack it up and call it a day. Lucky for me, the bookseller doesn't close up shop when he's in town, so I was able to stop by and exchange my books for some items, most important of which is fairy dust. While I was going home, I found the raccoon took up a wife who has a new bundle for me to complete: dried powder melons and crystal fruit jelly. So I went straight to my dehydrator and preserves jar to drop off the goods and utilize the fairy dust I just got to make them instantly ready. A quick second later and the bundle is complete. I got a raccoon journal for my effort, which will make getting mixed seeds much easier. Before the clock struck 2 a.m., I made sure to pick up my prize ticket in front of the mayor's house and then go to bed. Day 216 begins in the coop, giving my lizards and ducks some golden animal crackers. Then it's back to floor 60, trying to get that ice pip. I decided to give up after fishing for 6 hours and only getting ghostfish and algae again. But today is Evelyn's birthday, so everyone's favorite grandma gets a rabbit's foot. And then I gave Willie that lingcod that he requested the other day. On a whim, I decided to spend a little more time on floor 60 and was actually able to hook and catch that elusive ice pip. I'm gonna sleep soundly tonight, but not before Pistachio gives birth to another baby sheep. Welcome to DuckGoose Farms, Walnut. Thanks to that birthday gift, Evelyn sent me a recipe for rice pudding to start day 217. Another day means another shot at double rabbit's feet, and we got lucky this morning. I get some ancient fruit harvested in the greenhouse, then it's over to Ginger Island to get even more ancient fruit harvested. I got a golden walnut out of a muscle stone, and then had a chat with Leo's parrot who says that there's a golden walnut hidden in the north still. but that sounds like a lot of work. So I just went home and decided to make a whole lot of money in the form of ancient fruit wine instead. Almost 500,000 G in one day. Isn't too shabby, if you ask me. I've got some more mystic syrup to collect on day 218, and then it's over to the barn as the ostrich egg has finally hatched. Everyone welcome Chompy to the family. He's a very cute little guy for now, but I doubt he'll always be this approachable. I then took an island warp totem to find my melons were ready for harvest, and ran up to the big frog eye to see if this was an acceptable form. Ignore him glitching out the ancient fruit stem, but he did like these melons and he gave me some golden walnuts, before asking me to plant a long yellow thing, which is obviously wheat. With those golden walnuts, I paid the island parrots to craft a beachside resort, and a path that was covered with debris to the east side of the island has opened up. This wading pool had some weird texture of something floating in it, so I tried to fish at it and got myself a golden walnut, and digging in the middle of the starfish pattern obviously nets me another. I've had my fun on Ginger Island today, so I popped a farm totem and gave Gus that coconut he requested. I then utilized my desert teleportation shed and hit up Skull Cavern to do some iron, copper, and diamond farming. What I was really here for were the mummies, so that I could get that curiosity lore. But even a floor with almost 6 mummies only dropped cloth and solar essence. So to finish off the day, I got my Hall of Ore smelting in my heavy furnaces. Over 250 kegs have been crafted on day 219, but more importantly, today is Leah's birthday. So after consulting a secret note, I grabbed myself a truffle along with that wheat that I need for the frog dude, and then run into Leah carving a little something something in her house. After she kicks me out, I run right back in and give her the truffle, and then we're back on our way to Ginger Island. As I was hugging the bounds of the map, I found this little cove and remembered that one of my journal scraps said that you could catch a stingray in the southeast shore caves. So I got my rod out and caught myself a stingray, making it only 2 more fish I need to catch to finish the collection. On the island farm, I harvested some ancient fruit and planted the seeds for the wheat before checking out on the door with the walnut on it. Only 2 more golden walnuts are needed to get in, so I guess I'll have to wait for another day. I spent the evening in the quarry placing down those 25 kegs I made this morning, and then I ran over to the desert teleportation shed to purchase some artifact troves and call it a day. Leah's at my front door the morning of day 220. She comes bearing gifts, specifically the little wooden sculpture I saw her crafting yesterday. Resmodia left me a love note in the mail, and I was able to get more rabbit's feet from the coop. Over at Clint's workshop, I cracked open 24 mystery boxes and artifact troves and was finally able to get the elvish jewelry artifact. This was probably the most elusive one for me as I get it deposited into the museum. Back to Ginger Island I go though. I found a golden walnut in a tree the other day, and today I brought the slingshot to shoot it down. Leo's parrot says that there is still a walnut hidden in the west, so I harvest all the ripe ancient fruit, then start digging. I spent almost the whole day digging, just like this on the west side of the map, but no dice. I went to sleep that night wondering if that parrot is lying to my face. But my not so blissful respite was cut short as 𝐕𝐝𝐵𝐵𝐵 gave birth to a baby goat in the night. This one shall be named Bruno, but we don't talk about him. Waking up on the island farm to start day 221, I was greeted by a letter from Pam enclosed with a recipe for stuffing. I then went out to the field to harvest some ancient fruit and spent the remainder of my morning fishing on the docks. Still no luck on getting that octopus, mind you. Today is the White Elephant Exchange, so I gave Caroline a rabbit's foot as her gift, and I then had the misfortune of learning that everyone's favorite man, Clint, was my gift giver. Gee, thanks for the magma geodes, Clint. I love them so much. As quick as day 221 ended, day 222 is upon us, with Abby asking me to come to her room after dark. Abby, I'm a married man, this is inappropriate. I went to the secret woods to pound out some hardwood, all of which will come in handy as I go to Robin's store to purchase the second house upgrade. I may not like the guy, but everyone deserves a birthday present, even Clint. As I pop over to Ginger Island, I ran into resident cool guy Shane before saying hello to the frogman. My wheat has grown in nicely, and I'll gladly accept some golden walnuts for my trouble. My man is asking for a fruit that makes your breath stink. The only thing I can think of would be garlic, but that isn't a fruit. Anyways, I get some ancient fruit collected, and then finally, I am able to enter Mr. Key's walnut room. The first thing I can do is inspect some of the purchases you can make with key gems. This is my first time seeing this list, so I really gave it a nice thorough viewing. Some of the stuff he sells is truly game-changing. I then go over to check the quest that he has, and accept the Danger in the Deep quest. I only have 3 days to complete it, So I beeline it to the mines and start digging. A huge shout out to the slime charmer ring. I do not know if I could have completed this without it. I also got my first dose of radiation by picking up these radioactive ores. I finished the day by making it all the way down to floor 20. As thanks for his birthday present, Clint gave me the bean hot pot recipe to start day 223, and I got another letter from the Georgia Special Services Division, but pretty much chose to ignore it. The entirety of day 223 is spent in the mines, getting lower in the floors. I got a prismatic shard, but getting to floor 60 was the real accomplishment today. The final day of year 2 and this video, day 224, begins by watching some Queen of Sauce, learning how to make some shrimp cocktails. Lucky for me, today's a Sunday, so I grab a large amount of jade I've been farming through crystallariums, speed run through checking up on my coop animals, grab myself a lucky lunch from the traveling merchant, and harvest the ancient fruits from the greenhouse. I then hightail it to the desert trader and pick up as many staircases as my little hands can carry and start chewing through these mine floors as fast as my fingers can click that left click button. I finally made it to floor 120, where I picked up an achievement and the 50 key gems I was promised. Another round of ancient fruit wine is ready for collection, and the subsequent refilling of the kegs is completed before I utilize an island warp totem to cut down more ancient fruit at the Ginger Island farm. As I was looking for Fizz, the JojaMart employee, I stumbled upon some pirates in the cove. I played a game of darts with the Dart Man and was able to beat this little minigame in 14 throws and got a golden walnut for my efforts. After referencing Fizz's mail a second time, I still wasn't able to find him in the cove, so maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Anyways, I popped a farm warp totem and ended the day and year 2, sleeping soundly next to Alfie and Rasmodia as I watched another deliciously exorbitant amount of money hit the bank account. Before I could drift off to bed, Grandpa visited me to let me know that yes, I was an amazing farmer, perhaps even greater than he ever was, and his soul can now rest blissfully. I kick off year 3 on day 225 by chatting with everyone's favorite witch wife, Rasmodia, then looking over all the items, artifacts, and recipes I need to make to perfect this game. I then took the advice of 𝐻𝐻𝐾 and visited Grandpa's shrine to grab the Statue of Perfection, which will give me 2 to 8 pieces of iridium ore per day. I then got the big field prepped for seeds and then stopped into the coop to say hello to my birds, rabbits, and lizards. I went ahead and sold away some stuff for the shipping list, and then went over to Pierre's to purchase some springtime seeds. I got some trees planted in the greenhouse, then went to sow some seeds in the field and get them watered. I spent the evening cleaning up some of the farm, then ran to bed and watched some money come in. Even though I shipped a bunch of stuff yesterday, I've still got quite a lot of items to get sold away before getting even close to perfection. I then got day 226 started in earnest by collecting some iridium and male fish from Linus. Over in the large animal pen, I collect some produce from my sheep and cows and get some rice planted near the lake. I got a whole bunch of potato seeds from Pierre's and spent the rest of the day sowing them in the field and getting them watered. To start off day 227, I finally moved into the bedroom instead of sleeping in the living room like some peasant, and then I decided to knock out some crafting recipes by making a whole bunch of stuff and getting it placed near the fruit bat cave. After that, I made even more crafting recipes before picking up a request for a diamond from Alex and another request from Pam for some potato vodka. Although I never used it, I just had to purchase the cellar upgrade from Robin, then gave Linus some seaweed that he requested a long time ago. I went over to the mines and purchased a couple recipes from the dwarf and collected a clam down at the beach. For the first time in year 3, I made my way to Ginger Island, found myself a golden walnut and a Shelly stone, then finished the day off by harvesting some ancient fruit. Since I have a lot of friends to make, I took up Oni Vicky on her suggestion to put down a chest filled with favorite gifts for the village NPCs. But I took it one step further by putting a chest down in front of every house, so it's harder for me to forget. Today is Kent's birthday, so I gave him a rabbit's foot and saw my friendship almost triple. And then I accepted another request from Shane. I completed Alex's request for 1 diamond, then ran into Abigail and Caroline in a shouting match. What I really came here for are more potato seeds, so I get those and plant them since I didn't buy enough yesterday. That afternoon, I teleported over to the desert where I dug up a singular treasure spot, which yielded the final artifact I needed to complete the museum, the golden relic. Obviously, I took the bus straight back home and beelined it to Gunther's place of employment, to submit my final artifact and unlock the Complete Collection achievement. Along with accomplishing that milestone, I also got another star drop for my troubles. I went to give Elliot a gift, but instead ran into him complaining about how hard it is to be a writer and that he instead should become a farmer like me. But when I offer him the opportunity to come be my ranch hand, he doesn't seem like it's a good idea now. I finished off day 228 by comforting another insecure man by letting Alex know that he has value, even if he doesn't become a professional athlete. I started off day 229 by receiving the crispy bass recipe from Kent in the mail, then harvesting some ripened parsnips and carrots. I then gave Robin some goat cheese, which maxed out her friendship bar, and then while walking around town, I decided to take some selfies with Haley at Marnie's ranch. Ultimately, I think Haley proved that she's more suited to city life than living on a farm. I spent the afternoon hanging out with Leah. First, she told me about her stinky, poopy ex-boyfriend back in the city, and then I helped her grab some fruit from this large tree by letting her get on my shoulders. To finish the day off, I completed Shane's request for that singular sandfish down at the bar. My brand new cellar has finally been completed to start off day 230. I don't think I used it a single time during this playthrough, but it's nice to have, I suppose. Shane sent me his recipe for pepper poppers in the mail, and I popped open some golden mystery boxes at Clint's that resulted in my first ever auto petter, a 0.5% chance drop. I went over to Pierre's to grab some more potatoes, then remembered I had some secret notes that I needed to do. This one has me start in the middle of town and do a series of movements. For those of you asking how I knew what to do here, I actually played some Stardew on a separate save on stream, and some really nice commenters pointed out that I need to use the arrows as directions until I hit something. Anyways, the nice man in the truck next to the movie theater wanted a rabbit's foot, and I have plenty of those, so I exchanged one for a brand new passive buff, the Special Charm, which permanently increases my luck stat. That afternoon, I planted some cabbages in the field, then accepted a quest from Clint for 20 iron ore. I spent the rest of my day in the mines farming that, before running home to get into bed, where my wife Rasmodia asked me if I wanted to have a child with her, which is an easy decision to make. I'm back in the fields the morning of day 231, harvesting some potatoes and tulips, then getting that open space repopulated with seeds before harvesting the ancient fruit in the greenhouse. Ancient fruit days are my absolute favorite. Not because it means I'll get a lot of money tomorrow, but because they're almost soothing in their repetitiveness. Unfortunately, the relaxation has to end as Lewis gets himself a birthday's rabbit's foot, and I finally add Willie to my list of best friends with a gold bar gift. Today is the first rainy Ginger Island day of the year, so I finally took a shot at this mermaid note block puzzle. I would love to say that I was able to figure this out without using the wiki, but I can't. It was virtually impossible for me to ascertain what I had to do, and even now, as I'm writing this script, I'm not too sure how to actually complete this puzzle. So I ended the day in defeat in my island bed. As I woke up in tropical paradise on day 232, Lewis mailed me the recipe to eggplant parm, and I got another round of ancient fruit harvested before running over to the walnut room to accept another iteration of the Danger in the Deep quest. With all my key gems, I picked up the magic bait recipe and the key to the town, so now I can go to any building anytime I want. I decided to end my time at the island and gave Elliot the final gift needed to reach max hearts with him, then accepted Caroline's Island Ingredients quest. I got some more potatoes harvested in the big field, and then ran over to the barn where an ostrich has just joined the family. Her name shall be Lancaster II. I popped a lucky lunch and then spent the remainder of day 232 in the mines, progressing the Danger in the Deep quest. I got all the way to level 25, but my real reward for the day was this parrot egg trinket that dropped at the max level 4, which is super rare. I began day 233 in the coop, picking up some more rabbit's feet, and then ran into Kent getting PTSD from his wife cooking popcorn on the stove. I made my way to Ginger Island, where I planted some taro tubes, hung out with Leo, and watched the beautiful ocean waves fold into themselves. After that, I ran into this dude Fizz in the mushroom cave. This totally not shady individual is selling perfection waivers for 500k apiece, for 1% towards perfection. I think it's safe to say that I will not be taking part in this scam. But what I really came here for was dragon teeth. But unfortunately, I couldn't find many. What I did find though was the final journal scrap that details combining rings. I already knew how to do that, so I just needed to finish out this section of the 100% to finish off the day. I harvested some straggler ancient fruits and planted even more taro to start day 234. I then returned to Pelican Town to give Vincent a rabbit's foot for his birthday,
and I've been slacking on the Dangers in the Deep quest, so I spent the majority of this day in the mines, making it all the way down to floor 40, before finishing this short day by collecting some oak resin at the train station. I did my annual checkup at Harvey's clinic on day 235, before accepting another request for Alex. I gave Leah a gift that officially added her name to my list of best friends, and added Lewis to that list soon after. The potato vodka I put in the kegs is finally ready for collection, and I helped Penny clean up the house before dropping those delicious spirits off for Pam. After that, I was told the harrowing tale of why George is in a wheelchair, so I can definitely understand why he's a bit of a grump in his old age. I finished the day off by crafting some magic bait, then heading back to Ginger Island in a futile attempt to catch an octopus. Leah is soliciting attendees for her art show at my front door to start day 236. I may or may not show up to that, like how these green beanstalks may or may not stay in the big field. I completed another Alex request for some ripe kale before giving Marnie a rabbit's foot. That gift was so close to sending her to best friend territory, and just chatting with her did the trick. I then descended back into the mines to make more progress on the Danger in the Deep quest, and made it all the way down to floor 65 before calling it a day. As I slept peacefully, my wife's ex-girlfriend put a curse on my slimes, so I started day 237, checking out what happened. I guess all my slimes are just black now. With that being said, today is the Egg Festival, so I harvested my ripe potatoes, then purchased a butt ton of strawberry seeds before taking back my crown as the Egg King. Apparently, the egg hunt takes 12 hours, so I only had time left in the evening to plant my strawberries and hit the sack. But another evening of rest was interrupted, this time by a strange sound. Day 238 is the final day for me to complete the Danger in the Deep quest, so I started it by exchanging a bunch of jade at the Desert Trader for staircases. I drove myself back home and collected all the ancient fruit wine that is freshly made, then utilized my newly purchased staircases to get down to level 120 and complete Key's quest. I gave Clint a gift that saw him reach 10 out of 10 friendship, and saw me get the Beloved Farmer achievement. While I was here, I decided to crack open some golden mystery boxes and got another auto petter, which is amazing luck. And down in the sewers, I purchased the Wicked statue recipe from Krobus. After that, I attended Leah's art show and got a look at her no-good ex-boyfriend, and then I placed down those auto petters in the coop, accepted a request from Lewis for some seaweed, and then spent the remainder of the day in the volcano dungeon looking for dragon teeth. I've got another ancient fruit harvest to start day 239, and all those key gems I got for completing the most recent quest got spent on the heavy tapper recipe and the deluxe fertilizer recipe. I did some fishing with magic bait on Ginger Island looking for the octopus, but I guess luck isn't in my favor today. Today is the beginning of the Calico Desert Festival, but I honestly don't have much to gain from participating this year, so instead I just went back to the magic bait fishing where I caught myself a Dorado, leaving only the octopus to catch. So I beelined it straight to Ginger Island and finally got one on the line. Unironically, the octopus might be the hardest fish to catch in the entire game, even taking legendary fish into account. It took me about 4 in real life minutes to actually catch this stubborn fish, but I did it and I ended day 239 with the Master Angler achievement. For my efforts in catching every fish, Willie gave me the 7th and final star drop in the mail to start day 240, resulting in the Mystery of Star Drops achievement. I harvested some taro this morning and popped open a couple golden walnuts as well, and then I hit the volcano dungeon to look for some more dragon teeth. But I still don't have the luck required to find any. At least I got this nice little soul sapper ring for my trouble. I've got more taro ready for plucking on day 241, but the frustrating thing is that I'm only a couple taro away from completing Caroline's request. So I've got to plant some more and wait for them to grow. I get a whole bunch of ancient fruit harvested and then decided to do some exploring where I found a golden trash can near the movie theater. I got myself the final skill book, the Alleyway Buffet, and collected the Well-Read achievement. That evening, I collected some more oak resin for the expansion of my keg empire. I then took up Magic Mutt on their idea to fish outside the spa, where I found an ornate necklace. And then finished the day off by doing some stargazing with Maru. A nice and ready day 242 starts by harvesting some rhubarb and cauliflower, then resowing the area with more strawberry seeds. I crafted 10 more kegs, got them placed down at the quarry, and began filling them up with ancient fruit before running over to Rasmodia's old house to construct my second obelisk, the Earth Obelisk. It's another rainy day on Ginger Island, and I finally decided to pull the trigger on utilizing the Joja parrot. I know for a fact that there are some golden walnuts I won't be able to find without using the wiki, so sacrificing a small piece of my morality to Morris and JojaCo is required. As I went to sleep that night, a vision of Morris relaxing with a couple sacks filled to the brim with cash haunted my dreams. It may not have been honorable, but I can finally construct the obelisk on the island farm to start day 243. And I also got a handful of new recipes from Kent and Sandy in the mail. It's been a while since I've checked my perfection progress, and it looks like I've made a 24% dent, which is pretty substantial. I still have a long way to go though, specifically in cooking and shipping items. So I teleported back home to continue hammering away at that shipped items list and purchase some cooking supplies from Pierre. I also need to keep working on befriending the other valley dwellers, but I was able to cross Demetrius from that list before running down into the mines to collect some iron. I'm gonna need a whole lot of iron and copper if I'm gonna craft enough kegs to get that golden clock. And while I was down here, I decided to enable the hard mode shrine to finish off the day. Day 244 is Shane's birthday, so I gave him a rabbit's foot and then ran down to the beach to set up some crab pots. I need a couple more clams for the water obelisk, so hopefully these will bear fruit sooner rather than later. I cracked open some geodes and managed to get the all-important marble from Clint, and then spent the day in the mines killing enemies hoping for a super rare galaxy soul drop. I hit the hay for the day, and Rasmodia decided to pop out my first child, a baby girl I named Raspberry. I know it's spelled wrong, just get off my back, okay? Raspberry is sleeping soundly to start day 245, so I got into the field to scythe down my first harvest of strawberries and get to work on those crafting recipes. I made a whole bunch of stuff, including the heavy tapper, marble brazier, and a handful of rings and fishing accessories, then ran down to floor 40 of the dangerous mines to end the day by killing some bad guys, but more importantly, farming some hardwood for future recipes. The next couple days are pretty short, so let's breeze through them. On day 246, I accepted and completed a request from Willie for 1 silver bar, and spent the day in the volcano dungeon farming some dragon teeth, which I was lucky enough to actually drop today. On day 247, I accepted the Skull Cavern Invasion key quest, and once again spent all day in the volcano dungeon unsuccessfully looking for dragon teeth. Day 248 was the Flower Festival, which I totally forgot to record, so this is a dramatic reenactment that I recorded near for. Just imagine me purchasing the Tub of Flowers recipe here instead of buying decorations. And I also danced with my wife, and we're both not dressed properly whatsoever. I got some mail to start day 249, the spicy eel recipe from George, and then it's off to the field to harvest some more strawberries. Today is Ancient Fruit Day, so I got more kegs made, placed, and filled with soon-to-be wine, and then sailed over to Ginger Island to harvest some more taro and complete Caroline's Island ingredient request. I spent the remainder of the day in the volcano dungeon successfully collecting some dragon teeth, but I ended up passing out a couple feet from my house because I missed my bedtime. Watching all that money roll into my bank account more than made up for sleeping outside in the rain though. Somehow, I woke up in my bed to start day 250, where I was greeted by accomplishing the Big Help achievement. But more important than the achievement and the money I got for completing that request was the recipe for the solar panel that was in my mailbox. I decided to finally get cracking on the cooking recipes today, and made a whole bunch of delicious items. I've had the ingredients for a while, but never took the time to move them into my refrigerator, so it's nice to see that I was able to make a very large amount of recipes in one go. I guess today was Shane's bender day, as not only did I find him passed out in his room, but I also found him passed out near the sewer entrance. My man just really needs some help. I gave Pierre a rabbit's foot for his birthday, and then built the island obelisk since I finally had enough dragon teeth. I used that bad boy for the first time to pick up the banana pudding recipe, then went straight back home to collect some tea leaves. The remainder of the day was spent in level 70 of the mines collecting iron ore and hoping for some galaxy soul drops. Shane was at my front door to start day 251 talking about how he's ready not to be a drunk anymore. Good for you, Shane, good for you, pal. That morning I crafted my first ever solar panel, gave Pam some wine that saw her get up to 10 hearts, and then collected the final clam I needed to purchase the water obelisk, the fourth and final one. Over at Ginger Island, I got a cute cutscene where Leo decided that it was finally time to join everyone at Pelican Town. The rest of the day was spent going through the mines, getting some ores, and hoping for rare drops. But as I decided to call it an evening, some of the island birds came back to Pelican Town and fixed up a tree near Robin's house for Leo to stay in. Day 252 and the final day of spring was the last day for the Skull Cavern invasion quest, so I exchanged some jade for some staircases and started making my way down the levels. I spent pretty much the entire day down here, and got not one, but 2 auto grabbers at treasure floors. Of course, I made it the 100 levels, and decided to go down an extra 15 for good measure. The morning of day 253, the first day of summer, begins by placing those auto grabbers I got yesterday in the coop and barn. I then planted a whole bunch of summer seeds, and then ran over to Key's walnut room to purchase the Hyper Speed Grow and Bluegrass starter recipes. I then exchanged my remaining walnuts for key gems, and spent some time crafting those 2 new recipes along with the tent kit at my workstation. I gave Harvey the final gift needed to get him up to 8 hearts, and then went over to Pierre's where I found his secret stash of what I can only assume are nudie mags. After I watched Harvey and the town ladies do some jazzercise, I went over to Pierre's and purchased 15 of every single summer seed to make sure that I get the polyculture achievement. I finished the day off by getting all those seeds planted in the big field, and then went to do some monster farming in the dangerous mines looking for galaxy soul drops. I started day 254 by making 21 kegs and getting all those placed in the quarry, which is really starting to take shape now. I then warped over to Ginger Island to accept Key's Hungry Challenge and check up on my perfection progress. The last time I checked, it was at 67%, so an extra 10% is some solid movement on that front. I decided to enable the hard mode Skull Cavern and started making my way down the floors. I was able to complete Key's Hungry quest in 1 trip, and made it all the way down to floor 131 before I had to call it a day. I created some fairy dust to start off day 255, then warped over to Ginger Island and Key's Walnut Room to purchase the final recipe I needed, the Hopper recipe, for 50 key gems. Now, I still have a lot of recipes I need to make, but it's nice to know that I don't need to purchase anymore as I craft a treasure totem. The rest of day 255 is spent in the dangerous Skull Caverns farming key gems, since I still want to buy the Horse Flute, Junimo Chest, and Stock List. I start a rainy day 256 by collecting some oak resin at the train station, then I give Jazz a birthday present, the final gift needed to get her up to max friendship. If I'm going to craft that Statue of Blessings, I'm going to need a lot of fiber, so I cut down some wild grass, then craft another 32 kegs before harvesting some ancient fruit at Ginger Island. Some would consider that having almost 400 kegs would constitute a, quote, problem, unquote. But I'm not one of those people. My auto grabber is doing wonders for me as I start day 257, and I finally planted those mango trees in the greenhouse. In hindsight, I really should have done this sooner. I then went ahead and made a ton of new cooking recipes. Another thing I should have done is just hold off on making anything until I had all the ingredients for every single recipe and just made them all in one go. That probably would have been more satisfying. Anyways, I got a couple of very cute and silly cutscenes today. The first was a very sweet moment between Shane and Jazz where he got her some bunny jewel slippers. And then I helped Shane, Clint, and Emily film a video for a JoJo-Cola contest. Clint ended up turning blue like Paul Giamatti from The Big Fat Liar, starring Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes. That's gonna really age me. I really hope you guys get that reference. The final cutscene I got today was watching Sam hit a sick-ass 50-50 grind and then crash into Lewis. Over at Pierre's, I gave Jody a gift and then had a brief chat with her to get her to 10 out of 10 hearts, before dropping off some more stuff for the shipping list. I then spent the remainder of the day in the mines collecting radioactive and iron ore, and I got this neat mannequin and gave him some pirate attire. Raspberry can finally stand up in her crib on day 258, so I played Catch the Baby, then went out to collect my mail, which had the strange bun recipe from Shane. I whipped that up real quick in the kitchen, then collected all my barn produce from the auto grabber, before spending the rest of the day in the mines again, where I got an auto petter drop, so that's pretty neat too. Pam sent me some mail beer in the morning on day 259, so I threw that in the shipping bin and cleared out my fruit bat cave, before doing some magic bait fishing looking for a midnight carp for the sea foam pudding recipe. Apparently, I don't know how to play catch, as shown by my lack of athleticism with Alex. I then did some more magic bait fishing down by the dock, catching some sardines for some other recipes, and then I was over to the traveling trader, who had some mead and jelly on the books. I scooped those 2 items up and shipped them away for the shipping list, and then cooked some banana pudding. I spent the remainder of my day doing some unsuccessful fishing by the lake, and then doing more iron farming. A bunch of summer crops are ready for harvest the morning of day 260, namely the poppy flower, so I can finally make that poppy seed muffin recipe. I then ran over to Key's Walnut Room to pick up yet another quest, and then ran back to Pierre's to give Gus a birthday gift, which saw him added to my best friends list. I then bought 2 flower seeds to eventually use for the tub of flowers recipe, and I popped a spicy eel and spent the remainder of the day going through the dangerous mines where I found myself a galaxy soul. I utilized some staircases to get down to level 25, where I decided to call it a day. Thanks to being best friends with Gus, I got the cranberry sauce recipe to start day 261, and then went into the field to harvest some hot peppers to make the pepper poppers recipe. That afternoon, I decided to crack open some golden mystery boxes with Clint, and then spent another day traversing through the dangerous mines. My red cabbages are ready for harvest the morning of day 262, so I utilized those to make all the recipes requiring red cabbage in the kitchen before running over to Robin's to give Maru a birthday gift. I had a chat with Sebastian about what he does in the basement all day, and then got electrocuted by Maru's robot. I finished up this day by getting all the way to floor 80 in the dangerous mines. Day 263 is the Stardew Luau, but I've got some crops to harvest at Ginger Island that need to get whipped into a couple recipes before heading down to the beach. This year, I decided to put an iridium truffle into the pot. High quality truffles are used in all kinds of fancy dishes, so I thought it wasn't a bad idea. And the governor seems to agree with that, as I got myself the unforgettable soup achievement as our purple-clad friend enjoyed his meal. Since every festival in this town takes about half a day, I had to utilize some speed buffs if I was going to collect all the wine before 2 a.m. Sam woke me up on day 264 to come to see his concert, but sorry Sam, I can't think about that right now. I've got tomatoes ready for harvest. There's just so many recipes that require tomatoes that I was super excited to get those ingredients and whip up just a ludicrous amount of tomato-based dishes. I spent the morning collecting some oak resin, turning grapes into raisins in the dehydrator, and kegging some ancient fruit at the quarry before spending the remainder of my day in the mines progressing through the floors. I've got myself a mega melon to start day 265, and speaking of mega melons, I may or may not have been sneaking a peek at Alex getting his pump in. All those torn muscle fibers need fuel to repair, so I gave Alex a gift of food that brought him up to 8 hearts. Another session of progressing through the mines netted me this fun party hat, and I finished the day off by watching a fairy bless some of my crops. A whole bunch of blueberries are ready for plucking to start day 266, and with those I can craft 3 more recipes in the kitchen. After a grueling couple of days, I was finally able to make it all the way to floor 120 in the dangerous mines and reward myself with Pierre's missing stock list. I also had enough iron to craft an anvil, a cool new machine that you can use with iridium bars and trinkets to re-roll their level. To blow off some steam, I met up with my friends at the bus station, where we all went off to Zuzu City to watch Sam, Abigail, and Sebastian rock out. Back at Pelican Town, I gave Pierre the missing stock list, and now he can sell seeds from every single season, regardless of what time of year it is. And now I would like to welcome you to a portion of this video I'd like to call the Best Friend Palooza. I gave gifts to a bunch of people today, all of which were added to my list of best friends. So I can now cross Pierre, Evelyn, Kent, Vincent, and Shane off the list of people that I need to think about. I totally forgot to record day 267, so this is a dramatic reenactment. It was a green rain day, so I really only did 2 things. Farmed fiber for the Statue of Blessings, and sell some pale ale for the shipping list. Since Pierre now sells every seed year-round, I spent the morning of day 268 buying seeds that I'm gonna need for recipes, and getting those planted at the Ginger Island farm. I picked up the Keys Hungry Challenge once again, crafted the Tub of Flowers recipe, and then spent the remainder of the day doing some magic bait fishing, looking for an eel and sardine. I did manage to catch sardine, and I finished the day up by crafting the Dish of the Sea recipe. I had some dried mushrooms ready to be shipped off on day 269, and then I ran into Sebastian working on his motorcycle. I purchased some oil of garlic from the dwarf, and attended Elliot's slam poetry session at the library, before finally catching that midnight carp and eel that I have been lusting after. Shout out to Magic Bait, it's the best. With those 2 caught, I can finally knock off 2 more recipes for my list, and I finished the day off by collecting some purple mushrooms that I need to dehydrate for the raccoons. Leo sent me the recipe for mango sticky rice the morning of day 270, and then I went to Ginger Island to harvest some ancient fruit. I thinned out some of my tree farm in the desert to make some more kegs that all get dropped down in the quarry and subsequently get filled with ancient fruit to finish the day. I need to sell some pickled veggies for the shipping list, so I accomplished that to start day 271. I then tried some of Penny's cooking, which I really wouldn't recommend to even my worst enemy, and then harvested some garlic at Ginger Island. With that, I crafted some oil of garlic at the workbench and whipped up a farmer's lunch in the kitchen, leaving only 3 more recipes for me to make, one of which I don't even have yet. I spent the afternoon collecting oak resin, re-enabling the hard mode mines, and then farming fibers on the early floors for the Statue of Blessings. Day 272 picks up right where 271 left off, farming for fiber, this time in the sewer dungeon. But that should be the last time I have to do this, since I finally have enough fiber to craft the elusive Statue of Blessings. I got it placed down next to my other statues and got my first ever buff, the Blessing of Friendship, that is amazingly convenient. Thanks to that buff, I have a new best friend in 𝐕𝐲𝐵𝐴. The remainder of day 272 was spent going through the hard mode Skull Cavern, hoping for Galaxy Soul drops. Day 273 is really short. I bought some staircases from the trader and popped a rock candy to complete Key's Hungry Challenge in double fast time so that I could buy myself a Galaxy Soul. On day 274, I have the necessary items to complete another raccoon quest, and then I made my way to Ginger Island to harvest and sell off some broccoli and artichokes. I grabbed another Key's Hungry Challenge quest, crafted some artichoke dip in the kitchen, and then finally befriended Sandy in the desert. I drove myself back to Pelican Town and finished the day off by harvesting some veggies and selling a bunch of stockpiled crops for the polyculture achievement. I made a couple of new friends to start day 275. Penny took a little extra talking to, but George was pretty easy to convince. I bought 15 seeds of a lot of crops from Pierre's, did some mushroom sprite farming looking for coffee beans, and then grabbed 15 more seeds from Sandy, all to be planted in Ginger Island eventually for the polyculture achievement. I made 19 more kegs a day, taking my total to over 400, and I got them placed near the quarry to finish off the day. I start off day 276 with a very cute montage of Leo's new life in Pelican Town. He eats food with Linus, goes to school with some other kids, does some fishing with Willy, and really seems to be enjoying his time surrounded by other people. Touching cutscenes aside, I spent pretty much all of day 276 in the Skull Caverns hoping for Galaxy Soul drops. Most of day 277 was spent doing an ancient wine run, harvesting the fruits on Ginger Island, making more kegs, and then going down to the quarry to place the kegs, collect the wine, and replace the fruits. I did spend that evening though re-rolling my fairy box trinket until I got the elusive level 5 fairy, which comes in handy when you're doing dangerous Skull Cavern runs. Speaking of the devil, I did one of those runs and got some key gems in order to buy the third Galaxy Soul I needed to turn my normal Galaxy Sword into one of the most powerful weapons in the game, the Infinity Blade, unlocking the Infinite Power achievement. Just take a look at those stats. The crazy thing is that they can get even better by doing some forging, so I added 3 rubies to my Infinity Sword, increasing its damage by 30% to end the day. Leo's birthday headlines day 278, so I have another best friend after giving him a present. I spent most of day 278 in the Skull Cavern testing out the synergy between my level 5 fairy box and Infinity Blade. These two are a really solid combo, but it's not like you can just go into every fight willy-nilly, which is perfectly exemplified by me dying to these hard mode mega serpents. On the bright side, I didn't lose any items, which is pretty nice. After Harvey patched me up, I caught him being a playing nerd, so that's fun for him, and then decided to utilize some prismatic shards to get dripped up to finish the day. I started day 279 by cracking open some artifact troves with Clint since I really didn't have anything better to do, and then I invited Sebastian to the movies since he's the only person I have yet to befriend. The final day of summer, day 280, begins by purchasing some staircases from the desert trader and finishing Key's Hungry Challenge. I then went to go hang out with Sebastian and Sam, where we played a Dungeons & Dragons-esque card game, and I was able to finish the scenario with a B rating, which isn't too bad for my first time if you ask me. I put a cap on the last day of summer by foolishly preparing the crop fields without remembering that they reset at the beginning of the season anyways. The first day of autumn, day 281, begins by prepping the big field for a very small fall crop. I eventually get it filled in with pumpkins, but I planted 15 of each fall crop seed to start the season and make sure I had enough to ship off for the polyculture achievement. Speaking of polyculture, my red cabbages are ready for harvest at the island farm, and it's been a while since I checked my perfection progress, and I'm only 12% away from being done. You could probably make that 11% after I gave the dwarf a gift and chatted with them to reach 10 out of 10 hearts. Another achievement I need to make progress on is the Good Neighbors achievement, and the raccoons have another quest for me. Pumpkin juice is easy since I have plenty of kegs, pumpkins, and fairy dust, but the pickled bok choy will take some time since I have to purchase some seeds to start a very short day 282. The only thing of note I did today was get those bok choy seeds planted and get one of them equipped with some hyper speed grow because, I'm impatient. It looks like Shane has finally decided to get his shit together on day 283 and is enjoying life as a chicken rancher. but I'm a wine rancher at heart, so I'm gonna need more oak resin and wood if I'm gonna get that golden clock anytime soon. 39 kegs crafted later, I finally finished my snaking keg farm at the quarry. So I expanded my wine production to a second location, the road leading to the tunnel. I'm nothing if not a responsible lumberjack, so I spent the remainder of day 283 replanting all those pine trees I cut down in the desert. My hyperspeed grown bok choy is ready for pickling on day 284, and some fairy dust expedites that process for me. I get that dropped off with the raccoons and head over to Ginger Island to harvest some ancient fruit. With the amount of kegs I have, I pretty much have to spend an entire day collecting wine and kegging fruit. But it's worth the time investment, as I get a whole bunch of wine and leftover ancient fruit sold away, and watch as over 2 million G hits my bank account overnight. Fair warning, autumn is a super short season content-wise. I was really focusing on accomplishing specific goals, so there are only a couple of highlights for each day. For example, day 285 was spent collecting some mangoes that are finally ripe, getting one sold off for the shipping list, and utilizing one of them to make the mango sticky rice recipe. On day 286, I learned that mango was the last thing I needed to ship off to get the full shipment achievement. So I celebrated by placing some speed grow on my other crops and clearing out the fruit bat cave, which has become overpopulated. I then ended the day by seeing a little cutscene where Penny, Vincent, and Jas are having a picnic, and Vincent spilled the beans on Penny and Sam's dalliances, much to Penny's chagrin. My beets and kale are ready for harvest to start day 287, so I get those chopped down and then ran over to Robin's house to give Sebastian the final gift needed to get him up to max friendship. Fun fact, he was the last NPC I needed to befriend, so I ended day 287 with all 34 NPCs as my best friends. My amaranth was ready for harvest on day 288, so I got that side down and spent the day in the desert replanting pine trees and doing a dive into the Skull Cavern, hoping for some galaxy soul drops. My yams were ready for plucking on day 289, and I finally decided to listen to the advice of some commenters Toph, Kenro, and Andrew on what I need to do in the slime hutch. I painstakingly crafted this little wall and gate and added an iridium sprinkler to water these 4 boxes. So hopefully the slimes can start producing some stuff. That afternoon, I hung out with my wife at the beach and purchased the final cooking recipe, tropical curry. I can't tell you how many days I had to wait for Gus to just go to the Ginger Island beach and sell this thing. I was so excited that I just ran straight home and cooked it. And I finally finished all the recipes and got the gourmet chef achievement to finish the day. All 15 pieces of rhubarb are ready for harvest on day 290, so I got those sold off, then ran over to the train station to collect more oak resin, which has turned into, you guessed it, more kegs to line the streets leading out of Stardew Valley to end the day. Those 15 rhubarb sold yesterday were the final crop I needed to get the polyculture achievement on day 291. I spent the morning doing what I like to call popping slime zits, and then collected some ancient fruit at the island farm since today's a kegging day. The raccoon family needed 3 ghost fish and a rusty spoon to keep on breeding, so I easily caught those fish and donated them, then ran down to the sewers to change up my professions. It probably isn't necessary this late into the game, but I thought what's the harm in doing so? I ended up changing my mining and combat professions so that I could get more ore per vein and more coal for mining, and just a flat 25% boost in attack and combat. I also made just over 1 million in wine sales, which is pretty nice. The next 4 days were spent almost entirely in the Skull Cavern and Volcano Dungeon. I was attempting to farm key gems from purple slimes and hoping for galaxy soul drops, which I was able to get 2 of them, allowing me to get the Infinity Gavel on day 294, which has some pretty sweet stats. I then exchanged some key gems for the Horse Flute and Junimo chest, and I honestly thought that the Junimo chest would kind of work like an Ender chest in Minecraft, and in some way they do, but unlike Minecraft, it's not like I can just pick out the chest and put it in my inventory. It kind of just has to stay there, which, I mean, now I just have them to have them. I finished the Skull Cavern / Volcano Dungeon Bender on day 295 by getting the Artful perk on my gavel. Day 296 is the day of the Harvest Festival, so I put all my rarest items that I've collected through the almost 300 in-game days into my stall and was able to get 103 points. The only other eventful thing that happened today was Vincent calling me at 11 PM, asking if I had pigs on my farm. I collected some oak resin on day 297 and crafted more kegs, taking my total up to 538, and got those placed in the tunnel, further expanding my wine empire. It was an ancient fruit day on day 298, so the only highlights of today were harvesting ancient fruit, collecting the readied wine, and replacing the kegs with more fruit. I sold off all the wine and a whole bunch of stockpiled coop and barn produce to make 2.5 million G, which put me over the 10 million G in my account, allowing me to finally purchase the golden clock on day 299. After purchasing that, I did a bit of reorganizing of my obelisk and made a nice little shrine to my achievement to finish off the day. Day 300 and day 301 were spent on farm beautification. I organized my obelisk to flank my little workbench area and decided to consolidate my coop and barn into the same location. It took a lot of time to get my animals just to move out of the way, but I got my buildings placed and added some stone pathways for a little bit of flair. The only highlight of day 302 was hanging out with Sebastian at the pier and replacing the sturgeon with a crimson fish in the pond. A new feature that was added in the 1.69 Stardew update not only brought the 1.6 update to console and mobile, but it also introduced adding legendary fish to fish ponds. So I spent days 303 and 304 adding a mutant carp to where the lava eels previously lived, and started adding more ponds so that I can get all the legendary fish into their special homes. I also thought that the watercolors were just neat and I wanted all of them. On day 305, I harvested the sweet gem berries I've had growing all season, then warped over to Ginger Island to do another round of ancient fruit harvesting. I spent the day collecting all the wine and getting the kegs repopulated, and started building my account back up after spending 10 million G on that clock. On day 306, Clint finally cracked open the rusty spoon I needed for the raccoons, so I got that donated and made my way to the volcano to make one final forge on my infinity gavel. With 2 emeralds and 1 ruby, my gavel now swings at the same speed as the infinity blade, but it has the added ability of smashing stuff quickly with the artful enchantment. I finished the day off at Robin's workshop purchasing the community upgrade to build Penny and Pam a house, and I also went and purchased a whole bunch of upgrades to my house. I added a couple of rooms, a little cubby, and an attic that will be filled to the brim with stuff soon. On day 307, I bought another fish pond and the all-important furniture catalog so that I can get my interior design on. I spent the entirety of day 308, the final day of autumn, in the jungle floors of the dangerous mines farming hardwood and radioactive ore for heavy tappers. The winter season of year 3 is going to be super short, and it begins by buying the shortcut community upgrade, then running down to check out Pam's new house, which I insisted on donating anonymously. I found the crocus that I've been so desperate to get my hands on, and beelined it straight to my workbench to complete my final crafting recipe, Wild Winter Seeds, activating the Craft Master achievement. Just to make certain I achieved perfection, I ran over to Key's walnut room and checked the tracker that now reads 100%. I have officially perfected Stardew Valley, but unfortunately for me, the boulder to the summit is still in place, so I guess I'll just have to go to sleep and finish the day. I woke up on day 310 with the confirmation I've been waiting for. Grandpa is beaming with pride from the great beyond as DuckGoose Farm's legacy has been cemented. I ran dash straight to the summit and crossed the threshold, picking up the perfection achievement and meeting up with Rasmodia to look over the frosted peaks of Stardew Valley. As someone who has never reached the summit before, it really is an amazing moment. The fact that I was able to witness this cutscene without utilizing the Stardew Wiki makes it even sweeter. But my journey doesn't end with perfection. If I'm going to 100% Stardew Valley, we're going to need an epilogue. Fast forwarding to day 317, I begin the epilogue by naming my son Rasmussen. With that, I got the Full House achievement. Later that day, I went to go check on the raccoons, who now need some cave carrot juice and pickled snow yam. Lucky for me, I have everything I need to do this. Snow yams, a preserves jar, a cave carrot, and a keg, with fairy dust being the key to the castle. To finish the day off, I gave all those items to the raccoon. 9 days later, on day 326, the raccoons need a diamond and 20 bat wings, and that's pretty easy to accomplish. 10 days after that, the raccoons want some sea urchins and frozen geodes on day 336. Day 337 is the first day of spring in year 4, but what's important today is that my friend Vincent is going to teach me how to harvest wild spring onions without killing the bugs inside them. And now I can sell these veggies for 5 times their original price. This might be useful in year 2 or year 1, but it's not that great for me, but what I really wanted was all the special powers, and I have all those now. On day 338, I bought myself the catalog from Pierre's shop, then ran over to Key's walnut room for the Statue of True Perfection, which gives me a prismatic shard every single day. The next domino to fall in the epilogue is the Journey of the Prairie King. To 100% Stardew Valley, I need an achievement called Fector's Challenge. Beat Journey of the Prairie King without a single death. The thing is about this minigame, it's not that easy. Essentially, there are 12 levels, all of which get increasingly more difficult. Enemies increase in number, get faster, and become harder to kill. What you're seeing right now is the first level, and it's honestly pretty easy to get overwhelmed. As you kill enemies, they can drop two things: coins and power-ups. Coins can be used after the end of every 2 levels to get a permanent boost in movement speed, fire rate, or damage, and power-ups are used to make combat easier. Now remember how I said that you can't die? I meant like, ever. There's items where you can get extra lives, but even if you get an extra life and you lose it and you still have 3 lives, which is what you start the game with, it doesn't matter. You might as well just quit out the game and try again. With that being said, the 1.5 Stardew Valley update added a feature that you can save your game. So for example, when I finished level 2 without dying and selected my damage upgrade, I went straight down to level 3 and decided to call it a day and save my game. I can then go back on day 340 or day 341 or whenever and start right where I left off without having lost any lives. That way, if I do ever die, I can just quit the game and restart that day and get 2 or 3 levels and then save again. I pretty much did this for 10 in-game days, completing a couple levels and saving my game so that if I died, like I did right here, I can just quit out of the game and reload my save. You can call it scummy or whatever the hell you want. I call it doing the best possible strategy to get an achievement that the creator of the game said publicly he shouldn't have included. And I did it. I used a Sheriff's Badge power-up to delete the final boss and got that achievement. If you guys and gals want a more in-depth tutorial or something like that, let me know and I can make it. To celebrate my maiden victory, I purchased the Return Scepter and the Wizard Catalog to finish off day 346. Fast forwarding to day 356, I finally finished this godforsaken raccoon questline. I mean, they're cute and all, but do they really need my help to procreate? Anyways, I grabbed myself the Good Neighbors achievement and finished off pretty much everything. The achievements, shipping list, artifacts, gemstones, caught fish, cooking recipes, crafting recipes, special powers and items, skills and mastery, and every single NPC is at max friendship. Everything is done. But I still have some personal things that I want to cap off. To see everything, we have to fast forward to day 400. Starting with giving Caroline that necklace I found so many days back. Secret note number 14 said that there's something hidden behind the community center, so I poked around there and found this cute little Junimo statue. Secret note number 19 is another one of those movement puzzles, if you want to call it that. Starting off in front of Jody's house, I followed the directions described and ended up behind the mayor's house, where I discovered a solid gold statue of the man in question. Secret note 21 said I need to shake a bush next to this bridge at 12:40 a.m. So I did exactly that and found Marnie and Lewis in another romantic rendezvous. A final couple things I wanted to do were strictly personal. I wanted an awesome farm, so I pretty much scrapped absolutely everything you've seen me do and made this. I was inspired by some screenshots I saw online, and I'm a huge fan of how it turned out. Along with an awesome farm is a well-decorated home. Again, I took a lot of inspiration from some other players online, specifically the kitchen area, but I'm very proud of what I was able to create. If you all want a tour of the farm and house and want me to explain the decisions I made or how I did it, leave a comment and I might just do that. And finally, you know your boy had to have the drip, and I mean, you tell me, baby, I'm looking good. Thank you so much for watching my video. I've never perfected Stardew Valley before taking on this challenge, and all I can say is that it was an amazing experience. If you haven't done it yourself, you should definitely give it a try. If you like this video and want to see more Stardew content, if you could subscribe, enable notifications, and absolutely obliterate the like button for me, that would be amazing. It really helps out the channel and makes it so that I can keep making these videos without sponsors or using mid-roll ads. If you want to get more involved in my community, feel free to follow me on Twitter and Twitch for bad jokes and live streams. Those links are in the description, along with another link to my personal Discord server. There are over 500 people in there, and it's honestly the best thing to come from this YouTube channel. We chat about pretty much every game under the sun, share memes, pet pics, and all kinds of stuff. It's a great time over there, and we'd love to have you join. With all that being said, that's the end of this video, and I hope I'll see you in my next one.